Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Three weeks ago, we were in the middle of the Ardennes Forest of the legendary Spa circuit. We saw an exciting race with three classes intermixing in some exciting and sometimes not so flattering ways. But tonight, we're going to head to sunny California and to the world-famous Long Beach Street Circuit. First race here in 1975, Long Beach was created as the U.S. version of the Monaco Grand Prix. This 2-mile, 11-turn track is a couple of long straights, and it has that infamous hairpin that sort of creates some excitement in our races here tonight. Welcome to round 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. I'm Larry McLeod. Alongside me, as always, going to be Greg Ginsberg here in the booth, and we've got Dennis Branch working over on the production side tonight. So, Greg, with this treacherous street circuit, those really tight walls, we're going to take a little break from our normal endurance racing format, try something a little bit different. Why don't we get into that and explain how things are going to work tonight?
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. Instead of having all three of our classes from the Ricmotech World Challenge, our LMP2 cars, our GTE drivers, and our GT3 drivers all on track, sharing the same asphalt at the same time and running an extended length race, what we're going to do is we're going to split tonight's action up into two separate races. We're going to first have our GT3 drivers out for their qualifying, and then a 40-minute sprint race. Don't expect to see any pit stops during that time, so it's going to be just, don't want to say, but let's say a lot of action from green to checker.
Non-stop.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. And then once we have that checkered flag, we're going to go to our LMP2 drivers and our GTE drivers that will share the track for a 40-minute sprint race of their own, and it should make for a great 80 minutes of racing action tonight.
Yeah, and I'm going to love this this more sprint-like, where the pit stops aren't really going to come into play at all. It's really just going to be go, go, go from the green flag. And, with the way things have shaped up this season, we've got a pretty tight points battle that will definitely be critical here to get good, strong points finish for these guys. But I'm thinking qualifying is going to be critical at this track, either really just the one long straight with a place to pass. I don't think I'd want to be starting this race down to 6th or 7th if I want to have a chance to win this.
No, certainly not, Larry. What we have here are a couple very long straights and perhaps two prime overtaking positions. But tell you what, why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? He'll run down the track guide here at Long Beach. We'll let the viewers at home see what we're going to see and what our drivers are going to see out on course during the race this evening.
Welcome, everyone, to Long Beach Street Circuit. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this incredible road course here in beautiful, sunny Long Beach, California. Well, let's get started as we head up the front straightaway here on East Shoreline Drive. You'll notice our pit area to the right and our main grandstands to the left as we go across the stripe and head up this very fast front straight. Drivers will be picking up a lot of speed as they head down into turn 1 here. Our pit exit to the right there, and then heavy braking as we make our entry through the apex of 1. Immediately after that, we're going to set up our entry into the fountain section. A very tight, twisting little area around those gardens. No time to sightsee, got to stay on task. Through turn 4, around the wall here, down into this very tight entry of 5 that opens up and gives you your first overtaking opportunity here as we head up towards turn 6. This will be another heavy brake zone. There'll be a slight corner after 6 here as the track bends back to the left on the streets here for turn 7, and then ultimately down into turn 8. Very tight exit here, but this will take you out onto one of the fastest sections of the course here, East Seaside Way. Another big overtaking opportunity here coming down into turn 9. This does get a little bit tight on exit, so drivers are going to have to watch because they've got to track right back to the left to set up that entry heading down into turn 10 here, and then ultimately back for 11, that tight hairpin to the right, and then right back to throttle and up through the gears as we head towards that stripe once again. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful and very fast Long Beach Street Circuit.
All right, thanks, Kevin Ford, for a lap of this beautiful Long Beach Grand Prix circuit. And as Kevin was saying, really just 2 good overtaking positions going into turn number 6 on West Shoreline Drive after a very short run out of turn 5. And then after perhaps the second longest straightaway on the circuit, East Seaside Way, going into turn number 9. But as our drivers now, they're out for their 15-minute qualifying session here in GT3, and these drivers, it's a single car qualifying. Each driver feels and looks like they have the track all to themselves. They're going to have 4 laps in order to set a fast lap, and we can see right now we've got Jeff Jacobs making his way around the course. Let's go and look back to round number 4, which was at Spa-Francorchamps. It was almost a month ago that we last saw our Ricmotech World Challenge drivers, and in GT3 taking the win there, Evan Peichel, Randall McGrew finishing second in his Genesis SimSport machine, and then Jason Burney finishing in third. The whole podium there, all drivers in the Mercedes. Lamborghinis from D2D iRacing, David Payton and Chris Thorman finishing right off the podium. And if we take a look at the points, at the halfway point in this 8-race series, your current points leader right now in his Lamborghini Huracan, representing 49 Motorsports, is John Allen. Kyle Burney in the DNA Motorsports Mercedes is currently second. Margin, it's very, very tight, Larry. Only 3 points separating first and second right now after 4 rounds. Evan Peichel in his Aquila Racing Mercedes, only 4 points back from there with 99. And then Kevin Carlisle in the Nerdworks Lamborghini machine, he's only another 3 points back with 96. Randall McGrew, we might as well put it in here right now. It's actually a tie for 5th between Randall McGrew and Chris Thorman. They're only 2 points back off of Carlisle. So after 4 weeks, things are very, very tight here in GT3.
Yeah, one of the things that's led to that is 4 different winners so far in the 4 rounds that we've had. As you mentioned, Peichel winning the last round. Don't forget, John Allen won the opening round. He racked up some pretty good points there. He's our overall points leader, but that's really on the strength of his 2 other podium finishes that he has in so far these 4 rounds. That's helped him. And those kind of finishes are what's going to make the difference into the season, where Kyle Burney's had a second, he's had a first, did not race at Spa. So he's sitting on those a couple of good finishes between there and then a 5th place at Watkins Glen. So Kyle right now is certainly one of the quicker ones tonight so far. Evan Peichel's been fast. He had the win last week, a couple of 4th places. But you got to be fast. You got to be consistent. And now you get to the midpoint of the season, you've really just got to start racking up points. You got to look for where are those spots, where are those races you can get yourself a podium. Tonight, I think it's going to start with qualifying.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and we'll have to see here. We were just talking about our points leader, John Allen, who currently is he is not even out on track, has not gone and set a time. I don't think he's here this evening, so not going to be able to pick up any points, obviously, if he's not out for the race. He finished 9th at round 4 in Spa. And so, you know, I was thinking that perhaps he would be looking to this race this evening in order to perhaps pad that cushion just a little bit. But we may have a new points leader in GT3 after this evening if John Allen doesn't appear.
Well, one of the competitors that we've been, we hadn't quite got down to the points. He's sitting 5th right now. He's at, he actually was 2nd at our round at Spa just a couple of weeks back, was Randall McGrew. And actually, I think we're going to get a chance to talk to Randall here as qualifying is kind of winding down. We got a few minutes before we grid things up. So maybe we can bring Randall in here. Have a little chat with Randall. There we go. Hey, Randall McGrew. Thanks for taking a minute or two to join us here before the race gets going. It's going to be an interesting start here. I see you right now sitting about third, but what's your strategy on a night like this?
Oh, these cars are a little bit more fragile than the MX-5, so I'm going to really try not to reprise my role as the pinball wizard like I did in Belle Isle.
Yeah, these walls are just as close, just as treacherous as Belle Isle, but yeah, I think qualifying is going to mean a lot out here tonight. And right now, you're sitting there pretty good there on the second row. You hoping to just kind of stick with the front group and look for a late move, or you think this is going to be more sprint-like and every man for himself from the green flag?
I'm just going to hold my cards close to my chest and try to hold my own out there and try to keep off the walls and make the best of any opportunity that presents itself to me.
Yeah. So how much practice time? We haven't talked much about this over the series of broadcasts, but how much practice time do you get, and is the league offering in the course of a week preparing for a race like this?
Oh, the league offers 12 hours of practice servers before the race server, and then 2 hours before. So there's plenty of time to get practice in. So
Yeah.
if you're not practiced, it's your own fault.
How much practice did you get this week?
I got about an hour and a half in, I'd say.
Not too bad. Are you, I know that the Long Beach circuit's relatively new on the platform, just released a season ago. Have you been able to do a lot of other races here at Long Beach, or is this still kind of a learning experience?
I've done a few races here, mostly in slower cars, but I did a couple in the GT3 during week 13, so I'm not too scared of it.
You ready to go too wide through the hairpin?
Oh, God, I hope not.
All right. Well, appreciate you taking a minute to join us here in the booth, and good luck tonight. We'll definitely be watching for you.
Thanks. Hopefully it's a good show.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Randall McGrew, driver of the number 67 Mercedes. We should see him out here in just a little bit for our 40-minute sprint race. He is qualified third. And why don't we quickly run down the qualifying order here, as all of our drivers, I believe, have, with two exceptions, I think, most of our drivers have gone and set their 4 laps already, sitting atop the leaderboard. And your provisional pole sitter here, with only about 20 seconds left on the clock, is Evan Peichel. Kyle Burney will start on the outside of the front row if things end right now, and we still have 25 seconds left in qualifying. Randall McGrew, who Larry just interviewed a moment ago, currently third fastest in qualifying, with Kevin Carlisle fourth. So we'll see if anything changes here, but I don't believe, Larry, we have any drivers out on course to take advantage of that last flying lap they may have in their
Not
pockets.
right now, yeah. But as you mentioned earlier, John Allen, our overall points leader, did not take any laps in qualifying. And looking at his practice times, I'm not sure we're going to see him tonight.
Yeah.
So that's going to certainly shake things up a little bit but with Peichel and Burney, Brew, Carlisle, those front 4 are definitely going to hope to get off to a fast start, and all of them looking to try and get take over the points lead here tonight.
All right, so as we have the cars gridding up now, and they will get the green flag when they come right out of that hairpin that Kyle does, or that Randall just doesn't want to go too wide through with very good reason. Let's take a look at our starting grid. As we mentioned, on the front row, representing Aquila Racing, it's the number 263 machine of Evan Peichel, starting second today. On the outside of the front row, representing DNA Motorsports, it's Kyle Burney. Randall McGrew will start third in his Genesis Sim Sport machine. Then Kevin Carlisle will start right next to him on the outside of the second row. Jason Burney will start on the inside of the third row, with Jeff Jacobs right beside him. Fourth row today, Chris Thorman with Edgar Sancinelli, then Jeff Willis and David Payton, Scott Brooks and Michael Key. And then let's take a look. I think that may be the entire field. I believe we have just 12 cars that went through qualifying and getting ready for today's 40-minute GT3 race here with the Ricmotech World Challenge.
Yeah, interesting that with no pit stops here for these guys tonight, it is just going to be that sprint format, but it is going to be a little bit of keep it clean, because although the hairpin's kind of what everybody likes to talk about, we've still got the whole fountain section, and you got a lot of other these sort of, it doesn't seem like you find it in the street circuit, but there's a little bit of elevation change as a couple of corners kind of drop downhill and drop off kind of at the apexes. Very difficult to drive. I've had my chance to do a couple of races here at the Long Beach circuit in the last season and a half of it being unveiled in iRacing, and I can tell you, I never got into a groove, could never get a rhythm around here. It is a very difficult track to learn. in addition to sort of being treacherous with the walls just right there. It's a little wider in spots than Belle Isle is, but it has also some of those Belle Isle moments of extremely tight stuff that, as Randall's right, to be a little bit cautious through around some of these areas like the fountain and the hairpin. So I'm looking forward to this. This is gonna be a pretty exciting race.
Yeah, you know, and I think one of the things that makes this maybe drive and race a little bit differently than Belle Isle, Larry, although length is very similar at about 2 miles here at Long Beach, is that some of the long runs that you have down East Shoreline Drive and down East Seaside Way, very, very long as far as street circuits go, and you carry a lot of speed into some very slow corners here.
Short run to the green, by the way. We're not getting a full pace lap here.
All right, so yeah, we've got the field now getting gridded up. Not a lot of time to get heat in their tires. They are going to come down towards the hairpin, and the hairpin, the one part of this track, and there we go. We take the green, and jumping to a very quick start is Evan Peichel in the number 263 machine. He opens up about a 3.5 car length lead now over Kyle Burney and Randall McGrew as they come down to the left-hander turn 1, very first turn on this circuit. At least our top 3 cars seem to make it through just fine, and everything compresses down nose to tail as they come through the fountain section. Turns 2, 3, and 4. They're going to come up now towards turn 5, and as they do here at 5, they're going to start that very long run all the way down East Seaside Way.
I hate that turn 5. In the middle of the 8th, that's going to press high, and you got these curves you've got to cut. And then the bottom just drops out if you get too wide on the exit. It's extremely difficult. Then this part of the track here, this turn 6, 7 complex, very wide, and it's suddenly the bottlenecks down going into 8, and really tough. You can go through there side by side, but it's tough. You can see that tire barrier on the left-hand side.
It's
those
very
tires,
close.
They don't move, those tires in iRacing. They may as well be more cement block.
Yeah, exactly, and that really changes the profile of the corner. If those tires weren't there, it would have opened things up quite a bit. You could probably carry some more speed through there, but again, that's part of the challenge of the course here as our drivers now make their way through 9, 10, and in through the hairpin at 11 and back onto the front straight here to complete lap number 1. Again, it goes very, very quickly here at Long Beach, as you can see in the low minute 20s.
Yeah, Peichel already about an 8/10 lead. There is a draft here, and you can see there Bernie closing up a little bit. But one thing also to note here about iRacing is you'll see that braking zone going into 1, there's a lot of track there.
Oh, and we have a driver that's gone off, Larry. I believe that was Scott Brooks that went off. Let's take a quick look here. No, wasn't Brooks.
He shuffled to the back, I think,
yeah. But it's either Brooks or maybe Key that dropped back.
It could be Key right there. Yeah, he's a little further back than the rest of the field.
Yeah, let's take a look. We got a replay here. Yeah, and well, no, he just got it wrong. But right in front of him was the, I believe that was.
Is that Peyton in the?
Maybe. 64. You're right. Yeah, David Peyton.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And that's that turn 1 again. It kind of, this whole track is full of these bottlenecks. You come down that wide straightaway, and suddenly you got to get into that turn 1. There's a wall that just kind of bumps out at you on your right-hand side. If you don't take enough speed off, the car just pushes right into that wall, and your race could be over quickly. So we'll see if Peyton's able to resume here shortly. Unfortunate start for him.
Yeah, you know, and looking back at that, Michael Key got that corner all wrong, but at least he got the car woed down in time. Otherwise, he might have been collateral damage in Peyton's wreck, and he was able to continue on.
Yeah, I was mentioning that yellow stripe. You can see the drivers there on the braking coming into this left-hander turn 1. That is actually off track. If you go to the right of that, that's the pit exit lane. And iRacing is very sensitive off-track line. That's the first thing everybody sort of figures out when you get out here for a practice session, is those laps all get deleted if you drop yourself over to that right-hand side. So it's actually a little bit tighter into turn 1 than it would appear based on asphalt.
All right, as our drivers now make their way through the winding area of turn 6 and 7, and now come up towards turn 8 onto that East Seaside Way, that second longish straight here, taking their way all the way down to probably the second overtaking zone here in that turn 9 and 10 complex.
Yeah, you can through there, but you better make it stick, because that turn 9 is extremely tight.
Right.
Walls get narrower and narrower, and then you enter that turn 10. We really kind of want to make sure you are going to be going single file to the turn 11 hairpin. So you get this sweeping left-hander that's very slippery, but you want to get all the way to track left to make this. This might be the tightest hairpin outside of the Lowe's hairpin in Monaco. This thing is just brutal to try and make that thing if you're anywhere near the track right going into it.
Yeah, like I said, the track layout has changed many times over the years, but that is the one feature that still harkens back to the original Formula 5000 layout in 1975, and when Formula One first started racing here a year later in '76.
Yeah, but some of the other, real noteworthy areas you see there, the fountain they just went around, just absolutely beautiful. But this place is very tough. It's a little faster than Monaco, but I think that when they talk about trying to make a American Monaco track, this turned out to be pretty good. Over the other car off in the background there, that might be, I'm not quite sure.
Bernie, I think.
Might have been parked sideways back there, coming out of turn 5. Jason Bernie, yeah.
Yeah.
Call him Kyle Bernie. Is the other Bernie. Kyle's still up in second spot. It's Jason now. Getting shuffled.
All right, let's take a look at quick replay here. Yeah, just loses the rear end and goes around.
Off camber, anywhere from about a third of the track from the right, it just starts dropping off hill. And if you're still applying the throttle, if you get any kind of a wrong weight transfer, that back end just goes around. I think that's what Jason found right there.
And you can see he just kept his foot in the throttle. The rear tires kept the spinning, and around he goes. All right, so let's jump back. Yep.
Evan Feichel is just putting on a tremendous pace right now. Just fast enough to stay. Now he's got Kyle Bernie this time, not able to stay in the draft. Michael is just flying, but these two together are now 4 seconds clear of Randall McGrew and Kevin Carlisle back there third and fourth. So top two just starting to really pull away.
Yeah, and it only took just 4 laps for them to separate themselves out. You can see now off in the distance Randall McGrew with Kevin Carlisle close behind that battle for third. Quite a distance back there they are.
Yeah, Carlisle's really sticking with McGrew. I wonder if there's a bit of a different chassis here between the Lamborghini and that Mercedes, if there's strengths and weaknesses throughout different parts of the track. They do, obviously, we talked about past rounds, there's always a little bit of the balance of performance that's made between these cars to try and equalize them, but still can't do everything. As you can see here, good exit there for Carlisle. Right up in the draft, up underneath the back of McGrew.
Yeah, it definitely has the power now. Speaking of balance of performance, one of the things that they have done for this race in particular, not a huge adjustment, but they've whacked off about 7/10 of a single horsepower from the Lamborghini. So maybe down a tiny little bit on power in order to equalize things. But I would think that at least around some of the tighter complexes, especially around the fountain, the longer wheelbase of the Mercedes might be at a small disadvantage, but obviously then jumping out of the corners, I think, is where it is the strongest.
Yeah, so if you're in this position of Randall McGrew right now, where you've got the nose ahead, having that extra bit of power underneath you can definitely help to try and stave off any challenges, because once you get to the twisty stuff, there's just no room to pass. So if you're Kevin Carlisle right now, all you can do is kind of sit back there, maybe wait for a little bit of a mistake, or try and catch him on a draft. Maybe if you can get up underneath them coming off of turn 8 and have a shot going into 9, which is the section they're going through now in turn 8. Or sorry, they're already into 9 now.
Into 9.
That would be one opportunity as we're looking now at Thorman chasing down Jeff Jacobs. You can see the Mercedes just put that power down, and Thorman's going to stay underneath as best he can. But I think even still, Jacobs is starting to pull a little bit.
Yeah, it looked as though as they came out of the hairpin, he got a little bit better jump onto the front straight there, opened up maybe another half a car length. But here we go, coming down. Thorman side by side going into turn 1. And can he make it stick? Looks like he washed out a little bit there.
Yep, kind of missed it. And as he went through, left Jacobs to kind of slip on by again. Jacobs able to hold on. But this is bringing Edgar Santinelli right up into this. As you can see his Lamborghini right behind these two.
Yeah, exactly. With that little move, Santinelli was able to make up about 5 car lengths and get a little bit closer. But you can see here, even as they come out of turn 5, heading towards turn 6, that Santinelli then falls back just a little bit further. He's already lost about the 5 car lengths or so that he had made up.
there's so much time to be lost through this turn 7 and 8 section. It didn't seem like much, but you come, or I guess it's turn 6. You come off of there and you can run the track all the way out to your right, then you got to hustle all the way back to the left. It's a long distance to go, and so there's a fine line between wasting all that time and distance and trying to carry speed as the pavement sort of plummets a little bit downhill through those city blocks down towards turn 8. It's very interesting to watch the different lines through there and see who's trying to carry the speed versus who's just cutting the distance. And tough exit for Jeff Jacobs. This Thorman trying to get on the gas early. Maybe he's got to run this time.
And you can see Thorman, and this is where he got the run the last time by, remember. Thorman taking a much wider entry going into the hairpin, really trying to open up that very tight corner as much as possible. You know, certainly pays dividends for him. This time not quite up to the back of the number 38 car, but you can see here he's carrying much more speed through the fountain section than Jeff Jacobs.
I almost think coming through 11, he was actually too close. He got that nice late apex, but the way Jacobs came off of it, he actually kind of slowed up and almost had to check up exiting. I think he forced Thorman to do the same. Thorman might be wise to give an extra tenth or two and really get a great run, because Jacobs has struggled a little bit coming out of 11.
Yeah, 2 laps in a row. We'll see what happens third time here when they come down to complete lap number 8. But again, you can see where this little battle here has also allowed that battle for a third to kind of disappear off into the distance. Let's take a look here now as they come under braking going into turn number 9, and we'll see if Mr. Thorman takes a listen to you, Larry.
There he goes, getting that good run.
Yeah, and you can see again, you know, and interestingly enough, when you watch Jacobs come out of there, you know, he's ripping the car back to the inside, not letting it track all the way out. It looks as though the last 2 times he could have maybe opened up the wheel a little bit more, but certainly affecting his exit speed. And once again, this time Thorman, you know, gave him a bit of ground there to maybe get a run on him, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I think again he needs a little bit more, because I'm still wondering if Thorman's just not quite getting the run that he wants. The other thing that could be happening here is the gearing in these 2 cars. You know, that Mercedes might have a much better gear for coming out of that corner, whereas, you know, Thorman might be forced to kind of be in the middle of a shift or something coming out of there, because it just seems like he loses that momentum. You know, it's whether that's Jacobs making the move in front of him, you know, not quite putting the power down, or that's just a gearing between these 2 different manufacturers. It remains to be seen here. Maybe we'll see if Thorman changes his line a little bit here on this next time through turn 11.
Yeah, that last time coming out of turn 8, a little bit of rear slip there from Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, the Mercedes is probably a little bit more of a handful here through this left-hand turn 10 than the nice mid-engine Lamborghini would be. And that might be why Thorman's right up under him coming out of there, is because it's just so much quicker through 10. But it doesn't really help him because of that power of the Mercedes just coming through. Jacobs, though, we've been talking about this, whether it's this series or whether it's any of the other Ricmotech series that we call. Jeff Jacobs always has a very wide car.
Yes.
He's a tough pass for anybody. Doesn't block, but just seems to be fast enough in the right places to hold off challengers for quite a long time. So Thorman, you know, if he wants to get this 5th spot or even have a chance to make up some ground on Kevin Carlisle out there, he's going to have to get by Jacob here soon.
Now, you'll also notice when Jacobs goes through the fountain section right there, I mean, he's practically in the fountain when he goes over the curbing there, anything to open up that corner, just to be able to get that big Mercedes to rotate. As we jump now back a little bit more to the battle for 8th, one of our only 2 Ferraris in the field. We've got we've got Scott Brooks and Jason Burney now, and Brooks there having to hold off an attack from Jason Burney as Burney's trying to make his way back up through the field after that early spin.
Yeah, and I think that's what's happening here is Burney's probably got the pace, but he's learning how difficult it is even to overtake somebody who's a little slower than you normally on this extremely tight track. He's just going to have to set him up. You can see here he's trying to maybe push him down the insides, just trying to hound him a little bit. Right now he's got to back off, set him up, make that run down the front straightaway. It looks like he's got a pretty good late apex there. He'll get the run. Right underneath him, almost alongside him, just as they come out of that corner.
And he's going to come down, and he's going to try and although he's on the outside, going down into turn 1, is he going to try to go underneath him, do an over-under?
He's really pushed him to the wrong side of the track, but Brooks able to come back over, take the line, and get a good braking turn in turn 1. Jason Burney's got to work a little harder next time to maybe try and get on the left side of Brooks so they can get the advantage going into 1 instead of right there. Brooks almost gave him that right side and said, fine, go ahead and have it, but I'm going to be on the inside for 1. And I'm thinking that Ferrari might have some pretty good ponies here tonight. Considering watching those two drag race, we talked about Jeff Jacobs' Mercedes, how strong it was. Oh, a little bit of a slip there for Brooks, as Bernie's now alongside. And Bernie make it stick now going into this bottleneck turn 8. They're going to go side by side.
Oh, and then
contact.
they get together as the Ferrari of Scott Brooks pops over the curb, goes right into the side of Jason Burney. Burney is able to continue on, and Brooks now does as well. But that did not end up well. Let's take a look at it again here.
Yeah, they went side by side. We talked about this earlier, how difficult this turn is, and those tires on the outside do not move as they are just clean side by side. But, oh, you see there, Brooks taps the wall on the inside, shuffles him over into Bernie's line, and that actually was caused the contact. Just kind of a bit of a misstep there for Brooks, catching that inside wall. Had he not done that, I think both of them would have been fine through that corner, but unfortunately, those walls light around here.
Yeah, Bernie had given him plenty of room, and you're right, I guess you can't really plan for what happens to a car when it bounces off some thick concrete, and now we know.
Yeah, certainly not intentional there for any sort of contact by Brooks, trying to also leave the room on the outside for Bernie, but unfortunately a little bit of a wall. But at least they're both underway.
All right, so let's jump back up to the front of the field with our leader, Evan Peichel. Kyle Burney currently sitting in second as they make their way out of the hairpin, and Burney doesn't seem to be able to make up much ground on our leader. That's been about 5 to 6 car lengths separating the two of them for the majority of the race. Now it's back to, I'd say, about 8 car lengths from Peichel back to Burney. But the two of them seriously have really put down a pretty great exhibition here for the rest of the field.
Strong right now. And Peichel, it's been hovering. He was about a 1 second lead now, and then it was up to 1.7, 1.8. Now you can see here, Bernie must have got a pretty good run there off of the hairpin because he's got it down under 1.4. Though I would say this is still far from over. As we're just past the third of the way through the race. Bernie doing a good job of staying with him, but he's going to have to really put down qualifying-esque laps to stay with Evan. But if he can stay in that draft, equal cars, maybe he'll have a shot come the end of the race. But we just can't let it get away now. But also to note, it looks like Kevin Carlisle is just kind of staying within about that 2-second range of Randall McGrew for the battle for third. You can see him. He isn't he's sort of like Bernie behind Peichel. He can see him. He can't quite sniff the draft. He doesn't want to let him get away. As McGrew, we talked to him in the opening. He got the practice in here. Didn't want to have to go side by side through this corner here, the turn 11 hairpin. So far running just a solid race by himself, but having to kind of keep his eye on the mirrors. Kevin Carlisle doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking back to how he must be a big fan of Roger Daltrey and the Who. didn't want to be the pinball wizard. Anyway, we'll see here as he still continues to keep a pretty good gap though on Carlisle. As we jump back to the battle between Jacobs and Thorman. Thorman still trying to look for a way around that big wide Mercedes as they roll down here into turn 1.
Should he get by at some point, I'm thinking he might be a little quicker through some of these other corners like 5, 6, 7, and 8. Maybe able to pull a bit of a gap on Jacobs, but he just can't seem to get by on the straightaways or any of the other critical areas. He's just stuck looking the back of that Street Survival logo on Jeff Jacobs' Mercedes. He's probably thinking, I should call those guys. I think that whole Street Survival thing's about. He seems to be everywhere. Right through this section does seem to be just a hair quicker. He tends to close up a little bit.
And it looks like Jacobs from time to time is driving almost point to point through some of these corners, and again pinching off exits, whereas Thorman is not. And Thorman seems to in many cases have better exit speed through some of the higher speed corners. It's the slower speed stuff, like right here. Oh, with a little bit of a, as the rear end step out on him, just a little bit there. But just out of the slower corners, just does not seem to get the jump that the Mercedes does.
It really doesn't. And at that point, he's almost really having to maybe force a position somewhere. Maybe stay with Jacobs after turn 1. Maybe have a shot after turn 8, you know, if he can get close. But it seems like they go into 1, and it's almost a second gap between them.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got to start using more of that mountain curve that you're seeing Jeff Jacobs use, cut some distance down there.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting that you say that, Larry, and not so much just with the fountain, but as we were watching Peichel and Bernie a little while ago, one of the things that I did notice was, for example, coming out of turn 8, Peichel was turning in a little bit later. He was making as he came out of turn 8, making the run down to turn 9, he would actually come out almost center of track, exit almost center of track, and really cut down the distance that he needed to run down to turn 9, if only by a couple of feet, which is kind of an advantage over Bernie. And I wonder if Thorman, like right there, can start doing things like that in order to, you know, just as long as he can chop down the distance that he has to travel, he might be in better shape.
Yeah, a couple of feet matters a lot on a track like this. That's, to me, it always separates the fast guys. You go back to the Ayrton Senna's, you know, those guys who were winning in Monaco, the ones that would be able to just put it within a fraction of an inch or even slightly rub those apex walls. All they're doing is maximizing the radius, but also minimizing their distance wasted. And if you can do that, it's worth a couple of tenths here and a couple of tenths there.
And it all adds up.
Definitely adds up. All right, I'll tell you what, as we've reached the halfway point of the race, why don't we take a quick break? We'll be right back with the World Challenge Race Number 1 GT3 here. Ricmotech World Challenge Series presented by Performa Elite Texas Graphics. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
We are back with the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. It's round number 5 from the streets of Long Beach, California. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Larry McLeod, and we're watching the first of 2 40-minute sprint races this evening. Tonight it is first up GT3. We'll have our LMP2 action along with the GTE drivers as well when this race concludes. And Larry, I think we have some information about that coming together that we had just a little while ago with Scott Brooks and I believe it was Jason Burney.
Yeah, Scott Brooks was in fact given a little bit of a penalty, a drive-through penalty for that incident causing that accident, which is unfortunate because those guys were having a pretty good race to that point. But he's going to serve that penalty. He just did serve that penalty. And just to keep an eye on Jason Burney, he's actually passed a few others. He's now gotten by David Payton and Michael Key as well. So Jason making his way back through the field pretty well here, considering he had his own little early incident. You can see now between that and then the coming together with Scott Brooks, that car's not nearly as clean and straight as it was when the green flag dropped. He's working his way through the field. Out in front, between Evan Peichel and Kyle Burney, the lead has stretched a little bit as Peichel continues to put down qualifying type laps. Burney has done the same, but at some point Burney has lost a little bit of that pace over a couple of laps, and now that lead over 4 seconds between Peichel in the lead and Kyle Burney in second. McGrew still kind of holding his ground there, still turning in some pretty good laps as well. in that provisional podium spot there in third, keeping his eye on that gap behind him. Kevin Carlisle.
Still has about a 4.5 second gap back to Kevin Carlisle. Carlisle falling a little bit further out. I think the last time we had looked, Larry, he was about 2 seconds off of McGrew. So continuing to drop back just a little bit there.
Yeah,
and there you can see on the screen, and I think we already reported that Scott Brooks in the number 94 Ferrari, having received that drive-through penalty, he has served that already, and he is back out on track.
Hopefully the only pit stop we see in this this race here tonight. The first race of two is the GT3 featured race, and we'll of course have our GTEs and our LMP2 cars coming up shortly. But deciding tonight with this treacherous street circuit and the amount of cars, probably better to separate them a little bit. Decided the GT3 race needs a little love, it needs to get some camera time, and I'm glad because I think this these are always fun cars to drive, and it's always some pretty good racing as Jeff Jacobs and Chris Thorman are putting on. As Jacobs a little bobble there, Thorman now the shark is in the water smelling blood.
Yeah, so you'd see there as Jacobs got over the curbing and had the rear end step out on him, had to do a little bit of a correction there, lost a tiny bit of time, but through that section, Thorman just not close enough to take advantage of.
But he's back where he was about 4 laps ago. Jacobs there kind of pulled out a bit of a lead. It was up to about a second and a half. That little bobble, though, cost that time, and now Thorman right back underneath them. Jacobs a little slide there going through 9. Thorman very clean here through this section. We're going to see the same thing we had seen so many times before. Thorman right underneath the back of Jacobs. They both slide a little bit of goose in the gas coming out of 11. Yeah,
you can see the 2 corrections that that Jacobs dialed in on exit there, but Thorman just as well had the rear end step out on him, had to do a quick little flick of the wheel to get the car straightened out and to head on down turn 1. And again, those little opportunities to either get closer or to perhaps at least get in the mirrors of Jeff Jacobs just kind of slip away sometimes.
And we'll see if he can, if there's another one of those, or if Jacobs can kind of shake it off. Because sometimes you make a bobble like that through that same corner on one lap, the next time you go through there, you start thinking about it, like, oh, what did I do the last time? Did I cut the apex too hard? Did I turn in late? Did I brake too late? The car got sliding? I better not do it again. As soon as you say that, the next time you do the same mistake again. This time, though, Jacobs not making that mistake, was able to keep it going straight. But Thorman now a little bit closer this time, just about 4 tenths behind Jacobs as they go down this seaside way, straightaway into turn 9. One little corner there as the pavement kind of rises, you get a little bit of extra grip, but then you got to set up for this nearly flat turn 10 left-hander. And hopefully, don't do that. It's so close to contact with Thorman. Right up into the back of Jeff Jacobs. Is this close enough to get a draft run, though? We saw earlier in the race, he did get down along the inside of Jacobs, wasn't able to make it stick, put himself right back behind. See if Thorman's close enough this time to make a move. He's
much closer than he's been for, well, pretty much since lap number 3, Larry, as he comes now down into turn 1. But once again, you can see the mark. He, in a straight line, stretches things out. He gets maybe an extra car length to a car length and a half, and it's just enough to dissuade Thorman from trying to make that attempted pass in turn 1 like he did on lap 3.
At some point here, as this race ticks around, we got 13 minutes or so left in this race. Thorman's going to try something. Either Jeff Jacobs going to hand him the spot, or Thorman's just going to execute maybe a risk move to see if he can do something like coming off of the fountain, or maybe going into 9. Right now, he's as close as he's been down the seaside way straightaway. Close enough. He's right there.
Yeah, he pokes to the inside, and you get that other camera view, and then you can see maybe he's just a little bit too far back. I think that straight ahead view may be a little bit deceiving, but we'll see here. He might be far enough back now going into the hairpin. One, not to run right into the rear bumper.
No,
look at that as Jacobs gets loose.
There's that mistake that he was just kind of waiting for Thorman. Doesn't need to try the high risk move, so now the shoe's going to be near the foot. Jacobs now becomes the chaser. Thorman becomes the chasee. A little bit of a replay here.
Let's take a look as they come out of 10 and set up for the hairpin. What happened here?
Oh, Jacobs just turned in early, started pushing deep, and then he got on the gas while he still had some pretty good turning on that wheel. Caused that back end just sort of snapped. Was able to catch it, but Thorman just pounces on the opportunity. Thorman got the gift he was looking for.
was only a matter of time there, and for good thing that he gave that little bit of a gap and wanted to make a run at it, because if he was right on the bumper like he was the lap before, it could have been tears for both drivers. But now, as you expected, Larry, he's starting to open things up here. In just a half of a lap, has now opened up about a 10-car length advantage over Jeff Jacobs, now sitting in 6th.
Yeah, he seems stronger in this turn 6, 7, 8 section. Down to the straightaway, and I suspect a little bit more. I think he was pretty quick through 9 and 10.
Yeah, I think this is where he was strongest, was right here through 9 and 10 and setting up for the hairpin, and might be an advantage to just put this battle to bed with Jeff Jacobs here.
And Jacobs having to think about it this time, going through 11 to not make that mistake again, but he's going to stay close. He's just a little less than 2 seconds back for Jacobs. He'll just have to kind of put his head down and see if he can make up some ground. But Thorman already with a 19.7 in that lap, which is his best lap of the race, as soon as he's able to make clear of Jeff Jacobs. That shows the pace Thorman had. Kind of makes you wonder, had Norman gotten by earlier, could he have been making a closer run at Carlisle for 4th? It's a little bit too late now, as he's about 8 seconds back.
Yeah, and with just about 10 minutes left in this race, I don't want to say it's insurmountable, but it would be a very difficult run up to battle for 4th position.
Well, it'll be interesting, because Kevin Carlisle's run a couple of good laps, but Carlisle's last lap was almost a 21. Thorman's was that mid-19. So maybe, if Carlisle has a bit of a slip up a little bit, maybe Thorman can catch him. But somebody who seems to be almost uncatchable tonight is Evan Peichel, trying to become the first 2-time winner this season, as we've had 4 winners in 4 rounds. Peichel took the win at Spa just, I guess 4 weeks ago, trying to get it here. He's got a pretty good stranglehold in this. He can even kind of pace himself if he wishes to be a little bit conservative, and that's important around a city circuit, to be able to give a little extra inch here, an inch there to these walls, and not have to push it.
Sure, and as you notice, they are starting to make their way through some of our slower traffic, and certainly Peichel caught that last car there. You can see that Lamborghini off in the background. Caught him just at the right time. Actually, I believe that might be Kevin Ford's Ferrari, possibly, but no, I'm sorry, not Kevin Ford's Ferrari. Michael Key in his Lamborghini is who he got by. But both he and Kyle Burney got by him in pretty good places there, and they really haven't had to worry much about slower traffic. But if you saw in the background there, Randall McGrew looks like he might be, he's still pretty far back, but it looks like he might be making up a little bit of ground on Burney.
A little bit. It's still about 7 seconds, but he's just thinking to put down these laps and see what I can do as this race unfolds. You never know as tire wear comes down. Is it going to be good? But as I say that, our leader just did the bestest lap of the race at 19.1, so maybe the tires are finally just coming into their own here 32 minutes into the race, as opposed
just
to
got heat in them, yeah.
Yeah, it just shows you how much the announcer knows, talking about tire wear, and suddenly the leader just does an undrafted 19.1. He's flying tonight, and it's just after I said he could be conservative here and kind of coast it to the win. Just putting in your best lap of the race on lap 25 is hardly being conservative.
No, not managing your equipment there. All
the
right.
announcer to be a genius again.
Hey, at least it's not the announcer's curse this time. All right, so as we mentioned, Evan Peichel currently your leader with Kyle Burney running about 5 seconds back in second place. Randall McGrew currently running third with Carlisle fourth, Thorman fifth.
Thorman's still about 8 seconds back at Carlisle, so not able to make up any ground. Carlisle just maybe a half a second slower lap, but as we're kind of approaching the last 4 laps or 5 laps, it's not going to be enough without big mistakes. So Thorman able to dispatch of Jeff Jacobs. It might have been a little too late to have a shot at fourth. Jacobs can still see Thorman, but you can see that Thorman really starting to pull away now, 2.5 second gap. Fun track to throw a car around, though. I'll tell you that. The first time I'd never driven it in a sim or anything when they released it here on the iRacing platform last season, and really took a while to learn this place. As I mentioned earlier, I had never quite understood the subtleties of this turn 5, 6, 7, and 8 stretch, but just so difficult. It's bumpy, The curves are different in every single corner. And you can watch them as we're watching Evan Michael ride along here with him. He goes to make this right-hander down in turn 8. You can see how much apex you can use. The first time you take this, oh, I got to stay on the curb, and you realize the curbs don't mean anything. The wall means everything.
The wall.
Yeah,
exactly. It's kind of painted on there.
Yeah,
as opposed to some of the corners that have little sausage curbs that toss you around. Yeah, everything is slightly different. And again, you know, I think you mentioned it. When you look at this course initially on TV, and you suspect that it's very flat, and there really are just some very subtle changes. You know, not only in elevation but in camber as well.
Yeah. That turn 5 and turn 6. Turn 5 especially, it's kind of a blind crest as you come up to it, and as you turn in, you better be turning in the right spot. You got to turn in late. It's going to push all the way out to the wall, or like we saw someone earlier, lose the back end coming off of 5.
Right.
Even Jeff Jacobs had a little bit of a tank slapper there, and it's that elevation change mid-corner. The only flat stretch of the whole place is right here as we're on board with Evan Michael through this comp section, but as they approach turn 4, pop that curve, run it out. You see a rise in the pavement here going to 5, and then the bottom just drops out.
Drops out. Yeah, exactly. You just have that little bit of a crown in the road, and it just falls away, and you have to get the car squared up. You're going to lose the rear end.
And like a lot of street circuits, it is blind around some of this stuff. I know we're down at the splitter camera angle here, but it really is blind. You know, you come around turn 8, you don't know what's out there. When you get to the other side of it, you hope your spotter is making a good call. You come up to 9, same thing. You're doing, these guys right now are, what are we hitting, 160 miles an hour or 175 miles an hour down that straightaway, and all of a sudden you got to turn blind into turn 9. It's a daunting task for any driver.
All right, as we are on board with our, well, no longer on board, now flying high above our leader, Evan Michael. We can see that he is starting to come up on some more backmarker traffic. I believe that is David Payton next in line, but still quite a whiles down the road there. You can see Payton going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah,
further ahead.
The area was a pretty good shot there in this Long Beach area, and the detail that's been laid into this track and this sim, it is just gorgeous. It really is as realistic as you can imagine. Every building, every detail, whether it's the brick facade on the buildings over there, or whether it's the camera platform lift in the background, and all the crowds sitting just the other side of the walls, all the advertisements, they've really gone to the next level. When they
there you go with the famous Dave's Barbecue in the background over there.
One of your favorite places, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a well done. This was a tech track for a very long time in iRacing, so it was one of the highly anticipated releases, and I think a lot of folks are really enjoying this sort of shakeup. You know, the only city streets we kind of really had with Belle Isle. This is a nice switch to jump into this Long Beach. It's just world famous from F1 and the kart series, and of course those famous celebrity Toyota Long Beach celebrity races that used to be held out here. They were always kind of fun to watch, the true amateurs of celebrities throwing Toyota Celicas around this place.
And usually throwing them into walls, yes.
Sometimes, yes. But just a very, very cool track here to be on the platform. And it's great racing to watch some of these guys who put in the time to learn this place, like Evan Michael and Kyle Burney, really evident here in their pace tonight, just running consistent 119s. McGrew having a pretty solid race. Carlisle in 4th. We've got just about maybe 2 laps to go. Carlisle still hanging on there, and Thorman still about 7 seconds back.
Yeah, still not in contention for a podium there, and you can see now as Carlisle is coming up on the back of Michael Key.
Find a good spot to get around lap traffic around here. I hope you can get around.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like he let out of the throttle just a little bit to let him go.
He's got his lights on, because you never know when the sun's going to set here at Long Beach.
Long Beach, exactly.
Fascinating with the endurance format of these cars. They have the lights that can be on, and not going to need that here today for full daytime broad light here in Long Beach.
It's not like driving my old Honda race car where you turn on the lights and it means like you're going to go about 2 miles an hour slower down a straightaway.
That's exactly. You don't want that alternator to have to pull anything.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, yeah, these cars don't have to worry about horsepower limitations. Although, I mean, these are less powerful than some of the other ones. But these GT3s are definitely, you can definitely haul the mail down some of these straightaways here through this tight street circuit here in Long Beach.
All right, and as we have just 1 minute left to go here at Long Beach for our GT3 drivers, and you can see there as David Payton pulls over for our leader, Evan Peichel. And I believe we will have, given where he is on course, Larry, it's going to be pretty close. Oh, and yeah, there goes Mr. Payton running off the tire wall there.
Yeah, I have a little bit of trouble. You can see already he's got some body work missing.
Yeah.
But someone who doesn't seem to have put an inch wrong here tonight has been Evan Peichel. See if this is going to be final lap.
Nah, he should get one more. We've got about 20 seconds left to go, and I think he can get down to start finish prior to us clicking over that 40-minute limit.
And he's put on a pretty good show here, but I tell you what, Kyle Burney there sitting in second with 1 lap to go has been just as quick. Just a mistake here, maybe a little bit on a couple of laps. Cost him some time, but their pace has just been extraordinary tonight, pulling away from the rest of this field, putting on a show. Peichel and Burney, as both these guys want to get good points here tonight and try and be the new points leader come tomorrow morning. New points are calculated and try and overtake John Allen, who really is missing here tonight and kind of missed. I'd love to see him mix it up in this group and see what kind of pace he would have as he was our points leader coming in. Unfortunately for him, he's probably not going to be the points leader after tonight.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it. So coming into this evening, John Allen was our points leader, as you mentioned, after 4 rounds with 106 points. Kyle Burney second with 103. Peichel with 99. Peichel should pick up 35 points for the win, 1 bonus point for leading, a bonus point for being the top qualifier, so give him 37 points, so that'll put him up to 136. And Kyle Burney, who had 103, should pick up 32 points, so that puts him at, hey, look, 136 points.
That'll be fun. Or 1 point. It's going to be close. Peichel there, though, taking the checker, crossing the start-finish the last time with the win. Congratulations to Evan Peichel. Really put on a show here tonight. Just start to finish unchallenged the entire race. And Kyle Burney putting nearly equally as impressive there.
Yes.
Pulled away from the entire field. Great race.
And there we go. Randall McGrew crosses the stripe. He is going to take the last step on the podium here in GT3 with Kevin Carlisle in the number 727. Lamborghini will come in 4th and maybe a little closer than we expected. Chris Thorman in the number 60 Lamborghini will come home in 5th.
Yeah, great race all around, and I love these GT3 cars. They're a lot of fun to drive, but they are not easy to do consistent laps like that for Evan Peichel. Really just put on an absolute demonstration. It was almost like he ran, you know, a 30-something odd qualifying laps. Very impressive.
All right, so there we have Evan Peichel, and when they finish their cool-down laps here, we'll see if we can get a couple of our podium finishers into the booth here for an interview.
Yeah, we've already talked to one of our podium finishers here tonight before he even had the chance to finish, but let's take the chance to talk to the other 2. But running down the race results one more time, taking the win tonight, and now back-to-back wins for Evan Peichel, the Aquila Racing GT3, and in second, DNA Motorsports, Kyle Burney on the 3rd step of the podium. Genesis Simsort, Randall McGrew taking 3rd. 4th, Kevin Carlisle in the Nerdworks Racing outfit. Chris Thorman from D2D E-Racing. Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org Mercedes. He was 6th. Edgar Sanginelli in 7th in the Frito Sport Racing entry. Jason Burney was able to, a nice recovery drive there for him, the DNA Motorsports entry in 8th place. David Payton, D2D E-Racing's in 9th. And Michael Key, 10th. Scott Brooks in 11th in the Brooks Racing machine. And there's our podium finishers right there at start-finish.
All right, so it looks like we have both of our podium finishers standing by. So let's bring in our 2nd place finisher, driver of the number 33 Mercedes, Kyle Burney.
Kyle, congrats on the podium finish here tonight. You came into this round 2nd in points and kind of licking your chops. Talk to me a little bit about that race and trying to chase down Evan Peichel.
I only had one mistake, got to slow down halfway through, but other than that, it was pretty much a perfect race. So I just didn't have anything for Evan. But I was consistent, did what I needed to do. He had better pace than I did. I think without that slowdown, I probably would have been about 4 seconds behind him. But I did what I wanted to do, just qualify up high and finish at least where I qualified. So I did what I needed to do, and it was good.
Yeah, great finish for you. Now with a couple of podiums across the season, we're trying to run the numbers here between yourself and Evan and John Allen. I think you and Evan may end up coming out of this weekend with a tie. We're not quite sure yet, but it's going to be very close. Clearly, it seems like your strategy was to just maximize tonight, if I've got that right.
Yeah, I think that it'll be within a pointer, one way or the other, if not tied, like you said, with me and Evan. But I knew Long Beach was going to be kind of a race of attrition, so it was just race clean and get as many points as you could and take it on to wherever it is we're going next. I don't remember where we're going, but then do what we need to do kind of for the rest of the races.
Yeah, well, strategy pays off, and good clean racing, except for the one slowdown. But the car comes home clean for you and able to take a second place finish here at Long Beach. Kyle Burney, congratulations on the podium, Kyle, and we'll see you in the next round.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Kyle Burney, driver of the number 33 machine, finishing second tonight in GT3. Let's go to our winner, Evan Peichel.
Evan, congratulations again. Just a couple of weeks ago that you were finally taking the win there at Spa. Different track, but same result. Walk me through a little bit of this tonight.
Well, a lot of it was staying consistent and not hitting the walls. So on the first lap, I 0x'd the wall. And then I was just like, I just got to stay consistent. I don't want to get damaged and then end up losing positions.
Yeah, from our view, it looked like you were putting down qualifying laps just one after another. But in the early part of the race, you had Kyle sort of chasing you down. Were you just trying to do qualifying and wait for someone to make a mistake?
In the early part of the race, I got a little flustered by 0xing the wall on lap 1, so I backed down my pace a lot. And then once he got the slowdown or whatever, then I realized, all right, I should jump on this opportunity and build up the gap just a little bit more.
Yeah, it certainly paid off. We were just watching that and just seeing even around lap 25, 26, able to put down your fastest lap of the race. It just, of course, as we were all saying, oh, this must be the point where the tires are starting to wear. You go and just start laying down even faster times. Have you gotten a lot of seat time here at this relatively new Long Beach street circuit?
Just a little bit. I got carried away with practicing at this track, and I've done 400 laps of practice. That's like 12 or 13 hours, I think, and it paid off. Laps.
Absolutely. It showed for sure. When you can 0x a wall and not make that a full-on hard contact, that actually shows pretty good precision, if you ask me. It may have startled you, but certainly the rest of us, if I touch a wall, I'm going around. But for you tonight, the 0x looks like the closest thing that you were going to get to actual contact, and no one could even touch you tonight in your back-to-back victory. And we were just talking to Kyle about the finish, and we think points-wise, you guys might be coming out of this with a tie. It's going to be close, but job well done taking the win here tonight. Anybody you want to thank for the victory?
Yeah, I want to thank my family, my parents, and my siblings, my team manager, Frosty St. Clair, and you guys over at Apex Racing TV for putting on a great broadcast. Oh, and all my friends and people who support me.
Absolutely. It always takes a big team of support. So I'm sure they're glad to hear the shout out. So congratulations tonight, Evan, and looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
Thank you.
All right, well, congratulations and thanks for joining us. And Peichel, winner of tonight's round in GT3. Also, again, finishing second tonight, Kyle Burney, Randall McGrew taking the third step on the podium in GT3 for round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge in GT3. If you can hang with us for a few moments, we're going to be back in just a few. We're going to take a little break, and next up will be LMP2, will be GTE, 40 minutes of battling here, sprint racing from Long Beach. We'll be back with you in just a few moments on the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
All right, and we are back at Long Beach for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, round number 5. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and with me, as always, Larry McLeod. I want to thank Dennis Branch for being there, back pushing all the buttons, giving us all the great camera views tonight with Apex Racing TV. We just watched a great race in GT3, and now it is time for the remaining 2 classes here on the World Challenge, GTE and LMP2. They are just going through their drivers meeting right now. They're going to be going out for their 15-minute qualifying session in just a few minutes, Larry. But while we're waiting for these drivers to wander back out on track, maybe wander isn't the right term, but before they go and start throwing down fast laps in their 15-minute qualifying session, let's go and we'll look back about a month back to Spa, where our drivers last raced, and we'll take a look here at how LMP2 race finished up. Whipperman Racing's Tyler Gilmette, he took the win in LMP2. Brandon Whitworth in the D2D E-Racing machine finished second. Arthur Chan, who already had 2 wins to his name, finished third. Andrew List fourth. Dean Cox finished 5th. And if we take a look at the points in LMP2, it is still, by nature of those 2 wins, Arthur Chan sitting atop the leaderboard with Andrew List. Now, and here's the interesting thing, Larry, of all the people in the top 3, Andrew List, the only driver who has not scored a victory yet here in the World Challenge. That number 61 D2D iRacing machine has 105 points to Chan's 111. And currently sitting third in the championship with half a season complete with 104 points, only 1 point back from list, is Dean Cox. And Dean does have a win to his name.
But what he doesn't have is he doesn't have his car on the track tonight.
Ooh.
So he's going to be one of our DNSs that's not going to make this race. So it's going to be an opportunity for Andrew List to maybe put a couple of points to he and Dean. And possibly an opportunity for Brandon Whitworth, who is here tonight, currently fourth, just 2 points behind Dean in the point standings, to maybe have a shot to get past him. Just 3 LMP2s here tonight: Arthur Chan, Andrew List, and Brandon Whitworth.
All right, so let's take a look. We have a little bit more than 3 cars here in GTE. And again, the GTE class made up of the BMW M8, the Porsche 911, RSR, as well as the Chevy Corvette C8R. So let's take a look and again look back to round 4 at Spa a month ago, taking the win in his Porsche 911 from the Apex Racing team, and he has run the table so far has 4 wins out of 4 rounds to his name. Elvis Rankin taking the win, finishing second at round 4. Travis Schwenke in his Chevy Corvette. Mike Dam finishing third, and just off the podium, Robert Hartley in the and both Dam and Hartley running for Orion Racing, as is Travis Schwenke. Mike Dam, however, the only one not driving a Chevy Corvette. He is still running the Porsche 911. And if we take a look at the points, as we would suspect, Elvis Rankin currently with a pretty substantial cushion, 117 points to lead the championship after 4 rounds. Mike Dam with 106 in that Orion Racing Porsche. Then we've got Travis Schwenke, third in his Chevy Corvette, the Orion Racing machine, 95 points. Tony Kernan driving the Porsche with 93, currently sitting 4th in the championship. And Jennifer McDonald currently sitting 5th, the fastest and most successful so far of our BMW drivers representing BTL Motorsports. And hopefully, as qualifying is getting underway, hopefully we'll get to talk to Jennifer a little bit later on in qualifying after she's put some fast laps down.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I do like talking to drivers before they get the chance to go out there in the race, and sometimes get to talk to them afterward. But for Jennifer, we'll let her get her qualifying laps in before we talk to her in the pre-race time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this GTE race, because I think, although we talked about Elvis Rankin having 4 wins in 4 rounds, I think this starts to become almost desperation time for Mike Dam to try and have a shot to catch him, or maybe even Travis Schwenke. But Dam had that rough first round at Daytona, and then he's basically been podium the last 3. But until he starts finishing ahead of Elvis, he's not going to have a chance to catch him in the points.
Yeah, exactly. And now we know he had that great race at Watkins Glen with Elvis Rankin before Rankin had moved over to the Apex Racing team. That they were more or less nose to tail for the entire race. But Dam, I think, had led about 1/2 of 1 lap, and that was it. But yeah, as we're now halfway through the season, time definitely not on his side. So we're getting underway with qualifying. Again, it is a 15-minute qualifying session. It is a session where the drivers appear to have the track all to themselves. They don't have to worry about traffic at all. And right now, fastest driver on course appears to be Russ Ruddock, but we will watch here as we now have Elvis Rankin, again, our current GTE leader, making his way out of the hairpin to start a flying lap.
See if he sets the baseline time that everyone else is going to have to chase. And he does, a 1:15.88. And everyone else is going to have to go a little quicker than that. I'm sure Elvis is going to keep going and trying to do the same, as we get to see one of our LMP2s navigating that treacherous last hairpin there. As Arthur Chan coming around there, that car is just so long to make such a tight hairpin.
Yeah, you see him turn in for the hairpin, and the nose of the car is almost to the exit wall. but just as he gets to the apex there. I'd like to see what he does over here through the fountain as we saw the Mercedes going all the way up into the grass in our GT3 race, but manages to keep it all on the pavement there. I don't think these LMP2 cars like the curbing all that much over there.
No, I don't think they do, and they're a bit of a handful on this tight city street circuit. I mean, this isn't exactly Daytona or Le Mans out here for these LMP2s. We may see them in Le Mans in a couple of weeks, but here tonight, this is about the opposite for them. Try to navigate these tight city streets. That's Jordy Fike kind of having that torque of the Corvette coming off of turn 11, snapping that back end. He's going to lay a lap down, but probably try again. Come off 11. A lap really is dictated by how well you come off of 11. If you goose the gas and shake the back end a little bit, it just tends to ruin your lap with that long
very long straight. Exactly. Yeah, it could mean a couple miles an hour and maybe a half a second at the line.
And so far, our 3 entries in LMP2, each of them into the 112 lap times, just flying around this place.
Yeah, very, very quick, about 3 seconds faster than our GTE drivers. Now, during the GT3 race, and over the course of that 40-minute race, we did not see any of those drivers take a pit stop. It definitely was not necessary for them to fill up with fuel. In GTE, in this race, that will likely be the case as well. But the one difference, Larry, is going to be with our LMP2 drivers. We think that the LMP2 drivers will probably only be able to get somewhere along the lines of 25 minutes maximum out of a tank of gas in those machines, certainly well short of the 40-minute race length.
And for them, that's just going to shake things up as they've got to come down what is one of the really longest pit lanes to get in and out of there. So much time to waste as you come into it and then have to come back out of it. And the other spot we talk about how difficult the hairpin is here at turn 11. What we haven't seen yet is watching an LMP2 come out of the pit exit, because that yellow line that separates, we talked about this in the GT3 race, how that line you can see there, that the drivers on track have to stay to the left of, drivers still coming out of pits have to stay to the right of it until the absolute last second before you can dive over and go through turn 1. And it's just going to be interesting to see where they come out, and if they come out in any sort of traffic as those LMP2 cars. They're going to have to pit. And hopefully they practice their pit in and their pit out, because it's not easy.
All right, and as we take a look now, and we have about 9 minutes left to go in qualifying here. If you look at the timing pylon up to the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice that we've got a number of cars with blue numbers by them. Those signify the LMP2 cars. The cars that have the red numbers to the left of them, those are signifying the positions for the cars in the GTE class. I think you can pretty much tell the difference between the Dallara P217s that are out on course, those LMP2 cars versus the GTE cars. But if it matters, the Dallaras have the blue mirrors, and the GTE cars have the red mirrors. In case you get just a little bit confused.
Just in case you thought you were looking at a street version of a Dallara P217.
Yes. All right, we're looking at Mike Dam trying to get a little heat in the tires maybe, and get stuff ready here as he makes his way up towards the hairpin to put
this
in a flying lap.
This is third lap. This is technically a lap that's going to count, but clearly he's doing a little bit of tire warming to try and set up for one. Look at this, even taking the long run to get a better run off of the hairpin, trying to make this count. Right now, a couple of tenths down from Elvis Rankin, who's finished with his 4 laps. So Mike Dam, make it a go at it.
Yeah, amazing what you can do there to kind of, I guess, play the system a little bit here on a qualifying lap when you don't have to worry about being under race conditions and have to maybe either attack another car or play another car to be able to take that very wide entry into the hairpin to try and get a good run, a very fast run down the front straight.
I love this on board. I love seeing how you can really see from the driver's point of view how difficult it is to see around he rubbed the wall.
Yeah, he did.
I suspect that's a 0x. His lap is not going to count. You rub a wall around this really tight street circuit, but you can see everywhere how blind it is. A bit loose there from Mike coming off of there. Probably a little frustrated by rubbing that wall coming out of 5. Not going to be his fastest lap, and he's going to be, looks like, starting no better than outside of front row, which is terrible, but that just means that Elvis will have the inside going into one. Make for a long night for Mike Dam when he knows he's got to get points ahead of Elvis here tonight. See what the lap time turns out to be, but I'm guessing it's going to be a 0x on this one. As behind them, Andre Saunders now up to third. Jennifer McDonald in fourth, Cody Pike in fifth. I think the lap time is for Mike Dam.
Yeah, Mike Dam, he goes and he crosses the stripe with a 1:22 that time by. So quite a bit off of what he needed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So it looks as most drivers are finishing up. A few others that have yet to get their last lap in as we're on board here with Tony Kernan. Just starting his qualifying session. Not sure what happened to Tony.
Yeah, and a little bit of brake lock up there going into the fountain section.
Yeah, Tony, a little bit of a rough start here, trying to get some heat in these tires. Have to really push it to get his laps in here with 5 minutes left in qualifying. And we've seen Tony have some pretty good races. We saw him in a couple of different races where he would be pushing his way through the pack because of qualifying that didn't really go his way. Right now, kind of behind the time here, having to get a lap in. He's hoping he's not going to be having to start down the bottom of the pack and make his way through, because this is not an easy place to pass. But we did see him do really well at our race at Belle Isle a few weeks back in our GT series, so perhaps he might be pretty well skilled to do something like that, but doesn't really want to do it, doesn't have to. So time to set down some good laps for him here on his first attempt.
And as he crosses the stripe here at Long Beach, putting his first flying lap in the books, that is good enough for 7th, turns a 1:17.82, just back behind Baron Glover's Corvette.
Yeah, he didn't really turn any practice laps for Tony, so I wondered if he struggled a little bit to get some practice time in, or maybe a bit of a late to get to his sim here tonight. Really kind of looks a little bit flustered. He's got to pick up the pace a little bit down to the 117s. He'd really like to find himself up in that mix of Saunders and McDonald there for 3rd and 4th if he can get there. Great shot of that Porsche running around. Just barely the roof line above that concrete wall on the outside.
Makes every corner a blind corner, Larry.
Every single one of them. As you turn in, you're just hoping that there isn't something there, and you're hoping your exit's clear. At these speeds, there's just no time to make an adjustment if something is in your way. A little late maybe coming around that apex. Didn't quite get along the wall like you'd like to. Trying to improve on a 17.8 for Tony Kernan.
All right, as he crosses the stripe, he turns a 16.82. That moves him up to 5th.
He's up there. He's now 5th, puts him on the inside of row 3, but I think he'd like to try and crack into that 2nd row if he can get there. He's got to get to a 16.80. Just he's only 20 thousandths behind Jennifer McDonald right now. Oh, sorry, he's like, 2 tenths behind him.
2 tenths.
But he's got to get down to a 16.6 if he wants to get up there on the inside of row 2. Looking good so far in this lap. And again, another one of these blind corners, real fast entry to the 6. As the bottom drops out of this, as you kind of go around here and just keep curving around. It's one of those corners, distance versus time versus speed. Do you want to go run it all the way out and carry the speed? Or do you want to tuck it in and get ready for turn 8?
All right, as he makes the run now down East Seaside Way, under braking into turn 9. This will complete his 3rd flying lap. We'll see if he can move up any more in the order. He is starting to run out of time, but he should be able to get that 4th flying lap. A little bit of brake lockup going into the hairpin, Larry.
All right, well, we watch the end of this lap. We're going to bring in one of our finishers right now who's watching this intently is Jennifer McDonald. Let me just go ahead and bring her in here. Bring her into the... We've got Jennifer McDonald in here with us, and Jennifer, we're here watching Tony Kernan try and get ahead of you in qualifying. Not able to do it now, but appreciate you taking the moment to join us here before the race gets started. Tell me a little bit about your preparation for this Long Beach circuit.
Yeah, I had to learn it, so I put a little bit of time in it. I did get a race in last week, so feel pretty good for tonight.
Yeah, it's a tough track, with a lot of the bumps and the undulations. There really is a lot of subtleties to this place, isn't there?
Yeah, sure is. It's the bumps that I notice the most, but it's a fun lap. I actually really enjoy it. Can't say I enjoy the hairpin, but the rest of it's really a blast. Yeah.
Yeah, that hairpin it's just brutal. The turn 10 wants to put you on the wrong side of it for making the right-hand hairpin, and you got to take all the discipline to stay to the left, and then hope you get on the gas just right to come off of there. And you'll be in the BMW tonight. Trying to get that big car around that sweeper just can't be easy, is it?
Yeah, it feels kind of huge going around it, but it's all good. Otherwise the car actually feels pretty good around the bumps.
Yeah, it's interesting with that car. A lot of the other drivers opting for the Corvettes or the Porsches. You tend to stick with that BMW. Is that just a car you've become comfortable with?
Yeah, comfortable with it. Have one in real life, so I guess I just have an affinity. But the RSR is also nice. I've driven that as well as the Ferrari.
Yeah, well, owning the car in real life also makes it nice to be able to jump into the sim and drive one there as well. Definitely a interesting drive. But any strategies for tonight?
Yeah, just keep it clean, take it as it comes. Take advantage of opportunities when they come up, but you can't push it too much here. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because you find yourself, looks like everybody else has finished their times. Looks like right now on the outside of row 2, able to hold off Kernan there. He'll be on the inside of row 3. So you and Andre, the two BMWs, will be kind of drag racing down into one. You'll be on the outside, but can you really make a pass on the outside into one, or is that bottleneck just such a tight entry?
Yeah, kind of a bottleneck there, but we'll see how it goes. There might be an opportunity.
Yeah,
but it should be a good battle with Tony and Andre, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Well, I'll let you go. Go get in the car, helmet on, buckle in, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good show.
Thanks.
All right, that's Jennifer McDonald, driver of the number 117 BMW M8 GTE. She is going to be starting, I think, as you mentioned, Larry, she's going to be starting 4th tonight in GTE. So as we have the qualifying finished, let's run down the starting grid here for tonight's race. Starting on the pole in LMP2 tonight is our 2-time winner, Arthur Chan. He's looking for 3 out of 5 this season. Andrew List will start right next to him in the D2D E-Racing machine. Brandon Whitworth, his teammate in the number 42 machine, will start 3rd. And if we then jump back over to GTE, Elvis Rankin in the Apex Racing Team number 1 Porsche will start on the pole with Mike Dam's number 93 Orion Racing Machine starting right beside him on the outside of the front row. Andre Saunders in the Pocket Racing BMW M8, the number 72 car, will start 3rd with Jennifer McDonald's BMW. The number 99 BTL Motorsports machine will start 4th. And we've got Tony Kernan. Could not quite match McDonald's times in qualifying, was I believe 0.8 of a second off, or probably 0.08 of a second off. Sorry about that, Tony. The Kernan Motorsports number 7 machine will start on the inside of the 3rd row with Jordy Fike and the Esport Racer number 09 machine starting right beside him in 6th. Then we've got, let's see, I believe we've got Baron Glover in the number 13 Chevy Corvette with Russ Ruddick in the number 95 Corvette starting right beside him. And that should round out tonight's field areas. Once again, we have that very short pace lap. The pace car going to bring our field down into turn 9. And so just a couple turns to get some heat in the tires. And when they roll out of the hairpin, it's game on for our pole sitter, Alex Chan.
We'll see if even on the pace lap, if the two LMP2 cars can even go side by side through 11, or if they choose to go single file and then re-queue after they come through.
After they come through, yeah.
But it'd be interesting between the pit stops required for LMP2 and the pace that they're going to have. They will be passing the GTEs at some point, picking their spots carefully around this very tough street circuit.
And here you go. They're not trying to go side by side on the pace lap here. There we go. And they get gridded up, all 3 of them. And as they come down right about here is where Arthur Chan should be able to start laying into the throttle if he wishes for the start zone as they roll down. And here we go. And it is race on with Andrew List getting a little bit of a jump, actually a lot of a jump over Arthur Chan.
I heard the green call. I think he waited, but Arthur Chan maybe got caught out in the wrong gear or something there. And now he's got himself, he's the meat in the D2D E-Racing sandwich right now. as List out in front, Whitworth in third, and Chan in the middle.
All right.
As now our GTEs are underway. Elvis Rankin leading that field.
Yeah, we got Rankin. Then we've got coming down, we've got Mike Dam, and then Andre Saunders with that black BMW. He puts himself up into third with Jennifer McDonald, who we just spoke to. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. Now in fourth in the number 99 BMW, and already falling a bit back. Tony Kernan, Jordy Fike, and Glover about 4 car lengths back from our lead pack of 4.
We'll keep our eye on that, but I want to note that the race marshal is reviewing the start. I can only imagine that that is the Andrew List and Arthur Chan dump there to see who went at the right time. So we'll get a report back on that in a few minutes.
Bouncing off the wall, Andre Saunders. He's going to lose a lot of pace, so give McDonald now third position, and Tony Kernan gets around Saunders as well, as he just now finally gets that car back up to speed. And look at this, as Kernan already trying to find a way to get underneath the BMW on M8 of Jennifer McDonald.
Yeah, McDonald was probably thinking just kind of, play it easy a little bit, see the race come to you, and suddenly she's around Saunders with Kernan right there on her heels, and she's going to have to really push it now. See what kind of legs the BMW has versus the Porsche that Kernan's driving.
Yeah, and you can see as they came out of the hairpin, the rear end of that BMW just kind of hunkered down and went. But the Porsche able to make up a lot of it under braking going into one.
Yeah, the Porsche's just got fantastic brakes here in the sim. I love driving the Porsche for that reason, but I also know that the Porsche usually is the one with the weakest legs in these GTE classes. So we'll see if Tony can do anything. And it's a great look here from the back of Kernan with Saunders all over him, trying to find his way back around. As he started this race third, now he's back to fifth.
Ooh, did he just tap the wall there?
He may
I
have.
think he did.
He's around hard into that wall.
Yeah, just tapped the wall at the apex, and around he goes.
Ooh, that is not the prettiest BMW I've ever seen. That thing's got some serious damage. He's going to be heading his way to the pits, unfortunately. Yep, you can see him just kind of lose it. Ooh, that's a rough impact for Andre Saunders.
All right, let's go back to live action here. Is McDonald now about 6-7 car lengths back from our 2 leaders, Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin, as she now is starting to separate herself out just a little bit from Tony Kernan.
Yeah, just quite a bit there, actually. I'm surprised Kernan, the way he was right on the back going into one the last lap. Jennifer able to really pull a little bit there on that good lap for her. Now she's going to try and set her sights on Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin out in front, see if the BMW's got anything for those Porsches.
All right, and if we jump up to our LMP2 field here, looks like Andrew List, and we're still waiting to hear if there's going to be any kind of penalty assigned for the start here. A little bit of a brake lockup from Andrew List, our leader, and he's got just about a car length right now on Arthur Chan, our pole sitter in the number 50 machine. Brandon Whitworth, as you saw, about 5, maybe 6 car lengths back from our 2 leaders.
Yeah, I drove the LMP2 in the Sebring 12-hour, a couple months back, and I tell you what, that hairpin at Sebring was hard for me. I can't imagine trying to push this thing through turn 11 here at Long Beach, or even around that fountain. It just, you got to be so precise with this car, and then with the bumps, it's not an easy car to drive. It's normally easy on a big, flat, and fast track, but here at a place like this is not the type of track that this car was designed to be on.
No.
But Arthur Chan kind of settling in behind him there. We'll see if he's able to make a move later, as Mike Dam also trying to make sure he stays within range of Elvis Rankin. No pit stop to help him tonight, so there is no chance for an over or undercut. Tonight it's all going to be straight up racing mano-a-mano for position on the track. So Mike Dam's going to have to settle in, look for his opportunities, and see if he can get close enough to Elvis. And we know Elvis does not make many mistakes. He's not infallible. He does occasionally slip, but Mike Dam, he can't afford to slip tonight. He needs a win. He needs the points finish. Oh, big slide in the background there. I don't know if that was Tony Kernan, perhaps?
I believe that was Kernan in the number 7, the number 7 Porsche. Let's take a look.
I think it is. He's now a little 4 seconds further back from McDonald than he was. So a little struggle there through turn 8 for Kanaan.
Yep, there it is right there.
Bobble, yeah.
And got into the tire wall. A little bit of brake lock up there. Got the braking done maybe a little bit too late, and the rear end walked out on him.
He's going to have to work his way back up then to try and pressure Jennifer McDonald. But for Jennifer now, she can just sort of put her head down and try and turn in some laps and not have to worry so much of what's behind her. That's a good thing for her. Up in the front, though, for the LMP2s, it's still close. But the one thing about these cars is they do not like the wash of air off the back of the car in front of them. And around this track, your spots are limited to be able to make a pass. So if you're Arthur Chan, your only shot is to really stay within that 1.5 seconds and then hope this kind of screws up this hairpin here and maybe have a shot to drag race them down into 1. Because if you're anywhere else, you're just going to get so much aero wash that you're not going to be able to stick on the back of them. And you're going to find Whitworth's going to have the same problem behind Arthur Chan.
Yeah, and with the big concrete walls here and some of these very tight complexes, you certainly don't want to be right on the rear end here. And as you said, it's you kind of sit back and wait for somebody to make a mistake and be close enough to pounce, but not we're not going to see that that nose to tail action like we saw in the GT3s just a few moments ago.
Yeah, and so interesting, we talked a little bit earlier, we did go through the points. We know that Arthur Chan, with his 2 wins and a couple of podiums to go with it, is in the points lead by about 6 points over Andrew List, who's been pretty consistent as well. A couple of 3rd places and a 4th place for him. Dean Cox, not here tonight, has one of the wins here in the season, but he's not here, leaving Brandon Whitworth currently in the 4th in the points. Brandon's had a couple of podiums, but he needs a good finish here to jump past Dean Cox and maybe have a shot to catch 3 points ahead of him, Andrew List, his teammate.
Yeah, well, and speaking of Andrew List, Larry, the word has come in. Andrew List is going to get a drive-through penalty for jumping the start. So he has a couple laps to take that penalty. That will likely put Arthur Chan back up into the lead and make things very difficult for Andrew List, as he's likely going to have to start making his. And here he comes down into the pits. Maybe no, not this time by.
They're chatting about it. I'm listening to the radio chat. I can hear the race marshal and Andrew, his quote-unquote team manager on his behalf. But it's Andrew talking to the marshal about the start. We'll see if anything changes, as I guess he's sort of filing his appeal live from the driver's seat.
live from behind the wheel. So we'll see if he goes and takes that penalty. If he does, he's going to have to work his way through the GTE traffic here to get back to the lead.
That pit lane essentially is the entire length of the front straightaway, because the pit in is just after you come off of turn 11. We mentioned earlier, pit out is right at the entrance of turn 1. It's extremely long pit lane here. This is up there
with a big curve in it and all. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is up there with Sonoma's pit lane and one of those extremely long ones. It's not short, so a drive-through penalty is a big penalty.
Ooh, look at that, and there you go. It's under further review. All right, so that's the word from Race Control. We just saw and we've got the battle for the lead right now in GTE with Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam, and that looked as though they were coming through turn 1 and the rear end of Dam, and you can see now he's having lots of issues keeping a very loose car underneath him.
Yeah, well, they always say loose is fast, but sometimes loose is also a bit treacherous. And right now, 2 mistakes here in this lap has cost him nearly a second, as he's 1.4 back. He was probably about a half second back with the start of this lap, and Elvis out in front of him, just doing what Elvis does. But for Mike, he can't afford those.
Yeah, and McDonald is she's still about 2.5 seconds back, but you can see her coming into the view there. She's definitely made up some ground on our second place runner, Mike Dam.
Yeah, as the lap times come in, Dam does lose by 0.8 of a second, and McDonald makes up a couple of tenths there on Mike Dam, as you mentioned. So Jennifer not going anywhere here in this race.
No, just trying to run a smooth, consistent race, and I mean that was her plan when she spoke to us earlier, and trying to get that car to that very large BMW, get it around some of the tighter corners here at Long Beach. Yeah.
But it's got the power though, so if she can keep it clean, get a good run off 11 each time, it's got the legs to get down the straightaway and maybe make up a little bit of time here to stay close with Mike Dam.
All right, so no change so far, and we haven't heard of any changes in plan here for that assessment of a penalty in LMP2, as Andrew List continues to defend his actions and his case to the stewards, and we'll know probably soon enough whether or not he will have to serve that penalty as he's now coming
traffic.
up. Yeah, he's coming up on the back of the GTE traffic now. Looks like Russ Ruddick in the number 95 car as he gets put back as our leader, Andrew List, comes through, and Arthur Chan appears to have gotten by him as well.
Yeah, Arthur Chan, look at his chops there, seeing that lap traffic on. This is my opportunity. Use them like a pick and get around. But Arthur also knows that there's an appeal being lodged, but there's a penalty kind of pending. So he also knows that if he's patient, he might be able to get that spot the rules maker's way. But certainly staying close enough. He's right really up on the back of Andrew.
Yeah, and as he is, Brandon Whitworth continuing to fall off the pace of our two leaders. Now about 3.6 seconds back from Arthur Chan. So continuing to fall back. And look at this, Chan starting to close things down just a little bit more as they head down through turn 1.
These cars, their tires take a long time to come up to pace, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Is Arthur Chan's setup is probably good on nice warm tires. He's really coming into his own. These cars, we're 15 minutes into this. Oh, a little wide for Chan. As I'm talking about his tires, they kind of let him down.
Yeah, a little early entry there into entry into turn 5, and almost went wrong.
That could have been the aero wash too, because he was really up underneath the rear of Andrew List, and that aero goes away, and that car just becomes a push monster.
All right, let's jump back to our leaders in GTE with Elvis Rankin in the number 1 Apex Racing machine, and then Mike Dam in the number 93 car.
All right, so the penalty has been changed. What they're going to do is they're going to do a car 61 must yield to car 50 and then continue rather than a drive-through. Then that was for beating the leader to the start. So we're going to see here is, as there it goes, a swap on track. Now Arthur Chan in the lead, Andrew List in second. I think that's a fair way to handle it. These guys have been pretty equal. Why not put them back as they were and continue? Yeah,
well, I think that would have, if they had given List the drive-through, that would have, guaranteed it. It would have, it would have been, would have just tossed the race away for him, as he would have had to make his way back through the whole field. Plus, probably, plus have to take a fuel stop as well later on in the race. It would have been disastrous. So I think that's a pretty fair way to handle that issue.
I say that, but then he just disappeared from the camera, and I'm wondering if his computer just glitched. So we're going to see if he reappears, but that could be insult to injury, injury to insult for Andrew List. Just suddenly gone from the race with a network error, perhaps. I hope that's not the case, as he was running very fast.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing him back out on track yet.
Oh, that's unfortunate. After all that, he was happy to get the appeal to where the penalty was minimized, and just after serving that penalty, the computer and his network just drop, and oh, that's unfortunate. Yes, he's disappeared right now. So what that means is Arthur Chan now doesn't have anyone around him. He can go start setting some laps and making his way through the GTE traffic. Leaders in GTE continue, but yeah, there's a good shot of Arthur right now.
Yeah, the 4-second advantage over Brandon Whitworth. It's just going to be a question of being able to, how well and how easily he can make his way through traffic, and whether or not he does a better job of it than Brandon Whitworth. Again, we would expect both Chan and Whitworth to bring their cars into the pits for fuel before the 25-minute mark in this 40-minute race. When we send these cars out, the full fuel tank is about 85% of the actual fuel load that the cars are capable of, but that's the limit for them, and that equates to just about 25 minutes here at Long Beach.
Keep our eye on this battle up front. Elvis Rankin is not pulling away entirely, but he's just sort of inching away. He's at that 1.4, 1.5, and it's just when they say that, Mike Dam pops the wall there just after turn 4. That's going to slow him down a little bit.
Let's take a look at it again. Yep, there he goes. Bounces off the wall.
The wall's just unforgiving.
And that was coming through turn 4.
He actually didn't lose much momentum, did he? He's still hovering at the 1.4. hasn't really lost it. That's probably a little more than 0x for him, but doesn't appear to do any other damage, so he's lucky.
You might see the steering wheel cranked over about 30 degrees after running that left front tire into the wall, but yeah, seems to still be making up some ground. And there under braking going into the hairpin, it looks like he might have made up just a little bit more, but maybe overslowed going into the hairpin. We can see that Rankin gets a good jump out of there, maybe open things up just a little bit.
Yeah, now I'll keep an eye to see if there's any bodywork damage that'll slow him down on the straights. Doesn't seem to be too affected, so that's, again, lucky for Mike Dam. I don't know how many times you can tempt that fate, but...
Well, you know, you say that, Larry, but as he went under braking, going into the fountain section, the nose of the car moving around a little bit more than I would have expected under braking, at least early in the brake zone.
Yeah, early in the brake zone, they're usually pretty stable, but otherwise, low-speed braking, these do tend to lock up a little bit. You'll see them locking fronts going around the hairpin. So sometimes late in the braking, just at turn-in, that you might see a little bit of a puff of smoke out of some of these portions. He's not
there was
going
the scene
anywhere.
of the crime that time, and he got back by. Didn't hit the wall twice. And look at this, Whitworth closing things down on Chan just a little bit. In the last 2 laps, he's knocked off 2 full seconds.
I think Chan may be struggling with a couple of lap cars to get around. His lap time was over 1 minute 14 the last time by. Whitworth took a near full second out of him, as you said. Whitworth not going anywhere yet, as he knows that pit stop window is coming in about the next 10 minutes or so. And maybe he'll have a shot to do a little bit of undercut maybe to get by, at least to make a run at Arthur Chan here before this race is over.
All right, let's see how the number 42 car, Whitworth, navigates the hairpin. Actually doesn't seem to scrub off all that much speed and makes it around fairly well.
Looking pretty good out there.
But that last time by, Chan did pick up about 0.2 on Whitworth.
Yeah, I suspected that one bad lap may have been some lap traffic, and that's part of what you deal with when you're driving in the LMP2 class. Although not the biggest field tonight, just about 12, 13 total cars, with a couple of them already out. So lucky for the LMP2s, there's not that much traffic to pick through, but still it's there, and it's tough to get around here on these tight street circuits. So there's another one in front of him. That's Tony Kernot there. Looks like right in front of Arthur Chan.
Ooh, and a little bit of brake lock up from Kernan. Now, Kernan, who had really brought the fight to Jennifer McDonald early on in this race, now about 7 seconds or so off of McDonald, now sitting in 4th. Andre Saunders still in the pits trying to, I guess, probably get the whole front clip of that car replaced. Hopefully we'll see him back out
in the local BMW dealership to order a new front end.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of BMW dealerships in Southern California. Damn, still not going away. 1.3 back from our leader, Elvis Rankin. He may be lucky. He's popped a couple of walls here and there, some bobbles we had seen earlier with the back end getting loose, and he's still only 1.4 back. I would say if you're Mike Dam, you're lucky coming up on the halfway point to still be this close. If you can stop the mistakes, you know, he might have a chance here come the end of this race, especially if they start getting any of the 2 of the LMP2 cars getting between them or around. Maybe he can.
Little headlight flashing there from Mike Dam, maybe trying to get under the skin of Elvis Rankin. Actually, that wasn't Mike. Yeah.
He's closed up again.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Elvis had a slowdown.
You know, that is quite possible. Now the margin only 87 hundredths, close to 9 tenths. And we're going to a full course caution, Larry. Let's try and figure out here what the story is, and that would explain closing things down here. We do know that tonight that the stewards can issue a full course caution based on incidents around the track, and let's see if we can figure out what might be the issue.
I'm not seeing it either. I'm listening to the race marshal giving instructions to everyone about what they're going to be doing here under this. Pits are not open yet, but they will open next time by, so those LMP2 cars that need to come in and get their fuel. We'll be doing that after the pits are open. The 2 remaining LMP2s. And
so if you were, and I was just saying right now, we can see that Whitworth is actually sitting back behind Tony Kernan. If you were Whitworth, would you try to, rather than coming into the pits, maybe throw down a couple fast laps and come in a lap or 2 later to try and undercut Arthur Chan? Assuming Arthur Chan comes right in, which is not a done deal either.
I suspect they both will because of the penalty of the long pit lane here at Long Beach. I think that they're going to find themselves the only opportunities to do it under caution. And if you're Whitworth and you see Chan come in, you've got to go in. You're lucky, I guess, if Chan stays out. But I think if you're Whitworth, you're within the pit window, it makes sense to come here under yellow and minimize that time loss.
So now take a look at this as Andrew List reappears in the number 61 car. He gets the wave around along with the entire GTE field.
He gets one of his laps back, but he's still 4 laps down.
Yeah.
But he's trying at least to salvage some third-place points here, which is a good idea. He came into this event in second in points, still about 6 points behind Arthur Chan, but he's trying to get as many points as he can. And even though your computer glitches out on you, if you can get back in and get some third-place points, your season is certainly still moving along. All right, so with that, while we've got the safety car virtual out, why don't we take a quick break here, and we'll come right on back to the second half of our World Challenge GTE LMP2 field race right here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in just a minute.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back with the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. It's round number 5 from Long Beach, and I'm Brett Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod, and we are still under a full course caution here, Larry, but some interesting... I'm
fascinated by what I'm seeing here. So as we watch the field coming down here towards turn 1, you've got, of course, Arthur Chan leading the way there with Whitworth right behind him. But what we did see, as we talked a little ago, right before we went to break, was Andrew List was able to get one of his laps back, and there's Andrew List. You see, he's not going safety car speed. He's flying around here.
He got a second wave around.
So he's going to be only 3 laps down. Now, still 3 more laps to catch up, but yeah, he's still going to be able to get third-place points here.
Yeah, you know, so the question is, are they going to keep waving him around till he's back on the lead lap?
Don't know what they're going to do, but it is certainly an interesting development here. Always fun in the Ricmotech series to see how do the marshals handle these instances.
So the question is, are the pits open, and would Chan and Whitworth head into the pits and leave List out there for another lap?
They did. I heard the call from the marshals saying the pits would open the next time by, and we have not seen anyone come in. So I wonder if I have not heard the rest of the calls.
Well, you know, Larry, I mean, you know, we talked about the window here, the fuel window for these LMP2 cars being 25 minutes. you know, depending on how many laps we run under caution here, you know, they may be able to stretch that out to pretty close to the end of the race.
Maybe that's what they're thinking, is to be able to finish the race on one tank.
Well, look at this.
List going by again, almost runs into the back of teammate Whitworth
you know,
there.
Larry, I think they're letting List go around and get himself completely unlapped, so he's back on the lead lap.
Well, you know, I some folks would say this is not fair because of what Chan and Whitworth been racing. But remember what happened to List is it's a completely out of his control computer disconnect that kind of caused this. This is one of those races tonight. They're kind of a special format, whereas the rest of our series, we're running a long form 75-minute, well, even have a 90-minute coming up. This is a 40-minute sprint. You know, it's a lot of fun for these guys. They want to race heads up. And for List, he and Chan were having a really good race, taken away from him by out of his hands technology. It's kind of an interesting way to give it back and say, you know what, let's bring the race back for List and let's see what happens. So I'm fascinated by this, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. I kind of applaud what they're trying to do here. To give the List a chance to be in this race. List getting kind of practice laps in here.
Yeah, exactly. He's did he just disappear? Oh, there he is, and he's keeping the heat in his tires, which the other drivers certainly aren't doing.
That's very, very true, and from experience, this LMP2 car loves warm tires. And for him to maybe have the hottest tires when they do this restart could almost be an advantage. So I'm wondering if the stewards are thinking about that here. But you're right, though. We haven't seen any pits, and we know that these cars are kind of limited on their fuel loads. And we had run about 20 minutes or so before this.
Before the caution, exactly. And so, well, then the other question is, Larry, is with Andrew List's car having been disconnected for so long, what does that do for his fuel load?
Well, he's using it now.
Right, exactly. he's going and doing pretty much race pace laps around here in order to get himself on lap.
He technically pit because that's what happens when you get a disconnect. You're essentially on an instant tow. So he went in, took all his fuel. So fuel for him is not an issue. And now he's just making his way around. We'll see how many more times the fuel has to go.
And it looks like, is he going to come by one more time? Yes, he is. That should put him on the lead lap, back on the lead lap, Larry.
No, they are calling. I just got the note here from our stewards. To the investigation of the competition yellow has been called to get Andrew List back on that lead lap. So totally a steward's call, and to try and make for fair racing and give one of the prime competitors here an equal shot at this, rather than having it taken away by his cell phone connection for an iRacing rig or whatever it was.
Right.
Pretty cool way to handle it. So be curious how this one unfolds and how many more times the field has to go around as that clock is still ticking. It's still a 40-minute race.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, this is certainly advantageous and fair to Andrew List. Of course, the question then becomes for the GTE drivers, which were they had really spread out, I think, for the most part. So if anything, this will make for some better racing with what is going to probably be about a 10-minute sprint to the checker, and gives some of these drivers an opportunity that may have had some issues, or just due to track conditions may have fallen off the pace a little bit. It'll give them another chance at life here and a chance at a win.
Yeah, this is going to be just fascinating to me, is watching List come through here one more time.
Well, hopefully he won't take out the field coming out of the hairpin like he did 2 laps ago. All right, and we can see here he is coming up on the rest of the field now.
And again, reminder, the drivers have just been told again the pits are open, so we'll see if anybody comes in to take their fuel. They do not. They've gone by.
Yeah, and so as you said that due to the disconnect, likely Andrew List now has a full fuel load and would not need to take a pit stop due to that. He
at least has enough fuel. He had the opportunity because he would have had to start from the pits.
Right.
So he could have taken on just enough to make it to the end. No worries for him as he goes by for the last time. And now he'll fall in line.
He'll slot in line right ahead of Elvis Rankin, right behind Brandon Whitworth.
Actually, he's still a lap down, I think. So.
Well, yeah.
I think he's a lap down. We'll find out. Nope, he's going to go by one more time.
One more time.
And I suspect he'll do this quickly. He does this quick enough.
We can get going. We can go back to green the next lap.
So Arthur Chan's going to really slow the field down here to make this so they can go green the next lap. But again, we're under a time format, so what matters is time. You'd like that green to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, so we've been under full course caution now for just about a quarter of this race. It started right at around the 21-minute mark, and we hopefully will be going back to green flag racing here at about minute 32.
Yep, so they are saying this would be done so that this would be done for any driver where technical issues could cause a detriment to the leaders in the field. So deciding this technical issue that affected Andrew List would have been an impact to the lead of the race. They decided to call this caution for competition yellow, and I think that's the right move. When you talk about the lead of the race, List
I agree.
was right there.
All right, so our leader right now, Arthur Chan, he is bringing the field around now, coming out of turn number 8 onto East Seaside Way. So a pretty long run if he keeps that field slowed down. Not a large number of corners left, but hopefully it should give Andrew List the opportunity to get back up before this lap finishes. Although we're
going to go one more lap. I just heard the call.
Okay.
We'll do one more, so you can see everybody now. We're going to do a whole lap of warming tires. As Andrew List will take his spot in P3. We're not going to put up on P2, but he will go to P3 behind his teammate Brandon Whitworth. And we'll get one lap where everyone kind of have somewhat equal tire temps before we go green.
All right, so this is going to be a good reset for the GTE field as well. We'll see if Mike Dam, who had been running very similar lap times to Elvis Rankin. Rankin, I guess at one point we saw had a slowdown, and Dam not losing sight of the leader, still always staying anywhere between 2 to 2.5 seconds back. It's also going to give Tony Kernan another opportunity as the list goes by there. It's going to give Kernan an opportunity to take it to Jennifer McDonald. They were both very racy very early on in this race after Andre Saunders retired, and then Kernan started to fall off the pace just a little bit, had a little trouble keeping up with that BMW, but we'll see what happens again as they're all bunched up and going to restart hopefully this next time by.
I believe it will be, and yeah, it's amazing. You talked about the Mike Dam kind of having the 9 lives here. He tapped the wall, has some tank slappers, and started to fade back a little bit. Yellow comes out. Maybe this is his opportunity to get that much-needed race win if he can somehow find his way around Elvis Rankin. And the other one walking out here, you mentioned already also, is Tony Kernan. And Kernan had all kinds of trouble in the first couple of opening laps. He really had to shake all those nerves, and maybe this again is what he needed. Maybe he'll be sort of like the luck that came to Lewis Hamilton yesterday at Imola. Maybe
Once again, yes.
Yeah, maybe some of that's going to be awarded to Tony Kernan here in this race to be able to think you're out of it. And suddenly out comes the yellow, and you have to pull yourself back in. And if you didn't watch yesterday's F1 race, shame on you. It was a pretty good one.
Well, don't ruin it for me yet, Larry. I've got it on DVR. I couldn't watch it out at beautiful Hallett Motor Racing Circuit yesterday.
Oh, the mecca of motorsports in the middle of nowhere.
Best little club track in Oklahoma. All right, so our leader now, Arthur Chan, bringing the field through turns 9, 10, and the hairpin at 11. And when we come back around, we're going to be going back to green flag racing here at Long Beach with about a 5.5-minute sprint to the checkered flag as they come down the straight.
Waiting for the call. Waiting. Very tight field.
And we're green.
There it goes. All right, so with that, we are 6.5 minutes left in this race, and I suspect that's going to be somewhere around 4 laps, maybe a 5th lap. Probably 4 laps, though. We'll see. Cannot do anything. Now he's right up on the heels of Jennifer McDonald. Can he make any moves? Majority fight. There's pressure behind him. The block up there. He just that low-speed braking on those courses. They do struggle sometimes. The front, look at these 3. Now the 2 D2D Esports are going to try and make
Fan
a
out
run.
and make a run on Arthur Chan. And with not a lot of time left, under 5 minutes left on the clock in this 40-minute sprint race at Long Beach. Oh, and
big
going
slide.
around, it's the 42 car.
That's Whitworth.
Yeah, Whitworth goes around coming out of turn number 5. He has not gotten the car back underway, and he's now out of the game.
Yeah, I suspect those cold tires just being one lap into the restart. That's going to hurt him. But that puts List right back with Chan, right where we were about 20 laps ago. As behind them here in the GTEs, Kernot again locking up the low speeds, trying to stay on the heels there. Jennifer McDonald. That BMW really able to pull on these straights, but the Porsche does not like low speed braking. It just tends to really be touchy at that front end. All the weight over the back of these cars does not do well on the low speed stuff, but he's still here, still staying close with Jennifer, trying to make a move. Jennifer right now in third, Tony in fourth.
And coming out of the hairpin that time, Baron Glover in the number 13 Chevy Corvette had some issues on exit. Got the car back underway, and he is currently sitting down in 8th in GTE.
This is our best battle, though, here with Kernot on McDonald. As Elvis Rankins put that lead right back where it was before the flag.
Yeah, that didn't take him long. He's back to 4.5 seconds over Mike Dam.
Yeah, it's amazing that way. It just suddenly goes from nose to tail to 1.5, and probably will stay there for the next 6 minutes.
All right, so let's see as they make the run down East Seaside Way towards turn number 9, another one of those traditional braking turns here at Long Beach. And Kernan a little bit later on the brakes, a little bit later into the corners as they now set up for the hairpin as he goes very wide to try and over-under on that wide BMW. I don't think there's much under in the rear of that number 99 car as Jennifer McDonald gets a great run out of the hairpin and once again opens up a bit of an advantage on the Porsche.
Yeah, she's doing exactly what you need to do in a car like that, is just be wide in all the tight places and get a good exit off the tightest corner before the longest straightaway. Make it really hard for Tony Kernot to have any opportunity here. Because Tony seems quick in some of the other areas. But Jennifer being very wise to not screw those spots up and just get the good run off the turn level.
Ooh, but a little wiggle there coming out of turn number 5. Is that going to be something that Kernot can take advantage of? Does not look like it.
Yeah, but it's getting dicey up there. Jennifer's definitely sliding that car around. Tony trying to just keep behind as best he can, but even he's struggling. You see the hands there.
Yeah.
A lot of catching going on. See if he can get a good run off the hairpin on this time by. The good thing about that BMW in front of you, it punches a pretty big hole to draft behind.
All right, let's see what Kernan does. Took a very late entry last time. He does again this time as well, but gets under the throttle maybe a little bit too early. Rear end steps out on him, loses some ground on exit, and McDonald now with about a 3-car length advantage over Kernan as they make their way down the front straight with now only a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock here. We'll jump back up to the lead in LMP2 where Arthur Chan maintains a 2-car length advantage over Andrew List, the number 61 machine, as they now make their way through again. Just about for these drivers now, it looks like probably this next time they cross the stripe, they should be getting the 1 to go warning here.
As you see the sun setting behind them over the Pacific there, it's just a beautiful scene here at the end of the day in Long Beach. But Andrew List going to have to make a move at some point. 6/10 back, you can feel that arrow wash. It's going to be tough for him. Replay on Mike Dam coming around the fountain.
Let's take a look as he gets to the wall and he taps the wall and he goes around. Does that move McDonald up?
It does.
It does. Jennifer McDonald now takes over second. Tony Kernan in his Porsche is now running third. Mike Dam has fallen all the way down to 7th in GTE as McDonald, now our second place runner, comes out of the hairpin to start her very last lap. She now has to hold off Tony Kernan for that second spot on the podium.
Tony's going to be doing everything he can to try and use some of his veteran skills to make a move, but Jennifer right now has just been steady as a rock so far here, both before the yellow and since. But up at the front here in LMP2, Andrew List kind of running out of opportunity. He's going to probably have to do it going down this straightaway between 8 and 9. Not with that
Getting a little
slap.
loose there. Andrew List as the rear end step out on him, coming out of turn number 8 onto East Seaside Way. Not very close. Only 3 more corners for Andrew List to take away this win from Arthur Chan.
Arthur's just steady, knows he's just got to make it through this corner, squeeze the gas gently, and victory will be his. List not able to get a run. List happy that the stewards gave him a shot to be up there. He's going to come away. His second place points is Arthur Chan's going to take the victory. And behind them in GTE, we have barely mentioned his name tonight, but flag to flag in GTE is going to be Elvis Rankin taking wins. Win number 5 in 5 rounds. Just dominant.
And yeah, it's always a very quiet run for Elvis Rankin. He gets things done, not very flashy, just hits his marks and takes the win for the 5th time. Finishing second tonight, Jennifer McDonald in her number 99 BMW M8, and then Tony Kernan in his Porsche 911 will come home in 3rd.
Yeah, great run for Kernan to be able to come back in. Of course, a little help there with the yellow flag, but great for Jennifer to be able to hold on to that second spot after Mike Dam spun. Consistent run for her, good qualifying to give her a shot, and able to take advantage of it there to finish her best finish of the season here in 2nd spot in GTE.
All right, so as we have our drivers making their way down on the cool-down laps, we will have the interviews here in just a few moments.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to talk to Jennifer now. We talked to her in the pre-race, and she just kind of seemed like, you know, it's learn the new track and, you know, have a good race and see what happens. But she had more than just a good race. She had a podium finish up in the 2nd spot there in GTE. But in the front, in the LMP2s, it was this man right there, Arthur Chan, doing long donuts in the LMP2. It's not an easy car to do donuts in.
No, and not a wide enough track to do donuts in, apparently, either. All right, as Arthur Chan, driver of the number 50 machine, goes and takes the win. He's getting set up. We'll wait for our other winners to pull, or other winner to pull up onto the start-finish line here.
There he is, Elvis Rankin, pulling his
flashing
Porsche.
Those lights away. All right.
So quick recap of the results. Taking the win in LMP2 is Arthur Chan, just a half second back in 2nd spot. Andrew List, D2D Racing, and 3rd in LMP2 in the other D2D Racing outfit is Brandon Whitworth. Only 3 running tonight, but Brandon's going to make sure he's got those 3rd place points going into round 6. In the GTE field, flag to flag with the win, Elvis Rankin in the Apex Racing team taking the win here tonight. 5 wins in 5 rounds. In 2nd spot in the BTL Motorsports BMW, Jennifer McDonald, 2nd step on the podium. 3rd step in the Kernan Motorsports, it's Tony Kernan taking a podium here at Long Beach. Following him, Jordy Fike, Baron Glover, Russ Ruddick, Mike Dam, and Andre Saunders, winding out your GTE field.
All right, well, why don't we move to Elvis Rankin, winner of GTE tonight. We'll bring him in and interview him, and then we'll go to Arthur Chan right after that. Larry, here's Elvis.
All right, we're here with our winner of the GTE class, Elvis Rankin. And Elvis, we thought the weirdest thing tonight was going to be a split race of the GT3s separate from you guys, but it got weirder. Walk me through a little bit of what's going through the middle of that race.
Full course hill. I have no idea what happened. I still don't know. We have our suspicions, we have our stipulations, but we have no idea. So I think that was definitely like the wild card of this race. But no, it's just racing the racetrack more than racing the cars around me, and felt like I did an all right time with that. Only had one kind of negotiation with the wall, which kind of wasn't my fault. So, you know, it was a good race on my behalf. You know, tiny mistakes here and there, but it was a good race.
Yeah, this is a tough track, and you know, when you have an LMP2 car trying to get by you at times, and then you've got the walls coming in on you, and Mike Dan put pressure on you for a long time. And after that yellow, were you thinking, great, I had to work to get to the 2.5 lead, now Mike's back up on me? Were you expecting him to make the charge?
Yeah, I was obviously nervous because that single file 4-course restart, and I was in the control car, so I didn't get to control when the GTE field. It was kind of in the hands of Arthur Chan and just seeing when will you go, and then I'll just control my field from after that. Yeah, just getting a good gap. Obviously, read the start very well, and was able to pull out like a second and a half gap to Mike. But yeah, it was an awesome race. You know, it was sad to see Mike kind of, I don't know what happened, just getting the wall late, but it was definitely a fun race for my puff.
Yeah, absolutely flawless. This is the kind of track where you really can't afford any mistakes around here. And every time we were looking at you, just absolutely smooth. And another win, 5 wins in 5 rounds, probably something you didn't expect with the competition level here in GTE. But another win for you. Congratulations for that. And who do you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I want to thank Apex Racing Team. Just been super supportive. Obviously, an honor to run their logos on my car, and I've been super successful at the team so far. So I hope to keep the success up, and I know we will with how much effort we're putting in with the whole team. I want to thank our team sponsors. I want to thank Computers. I want to thank Virtual Racing School, Apex Racing Academy, and SDK. Those are just our team sponsors. And then, of course, you guys at Apex Racing TV for broadcasting the race. And yeah, I want to thank my mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, everyone that supports me in real life racing and sim racing. Also, Mark from HPP for helping me up with these awesome pedals. And then, yeah, Extreme Motorsports 99, Ricmotech for sponsoring the league. And the series admins, Kevin, Jeff, Ryan. Just thank you to those guys because they really put this whole deal on. So thank you to those.
Well, Elvis, congratulations on another victory. They're adding up quickly for you as you've got a stranglehold in GTE. And what a strong performance tonight. Love to watch it and can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Elvis.
All right, there's our winner, Elvis Rankin in GTE. Let's move now, and we'll bring her back for the second time this evening. Jennifer McDonald finished second tonight in GTE.
Happened to Mike, though. Oh.
Jennifer, congratulations on the podium finish. We talked to you about 45 minutes ago as you were kind of getting ready. Did you suspect the podium was going to come your way?
Well, I felt like I had a pretty good shot at third. I just thought if I was, smart, got an opportunity, I'd be able to be there to take advantage of it, and didn't expect, Andre to have an issue at the start, and unfortunate to see Mike Dam have an issue at the end, but it was a good race. Tony made me work for it at the very end there, so it was fun.
Yeah, Tony definitely did. It seemed that he just couldn't seem to get the run off of turn 11 down that straightaway, but that BMW had some pretty good legs here tonight to hold the Porsche behind you. Do you think that the car kind of helps you in those areas?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I do think that RSR's got a little bit more legs in general, but I was able to get out of that corner better maybe than he did in at least the last couple laps.
Yeah, you looked absolutely smooth, just like you were controlling that position, and there was just nothing that Tony could do to make any kind of headways by. And really strong run for you. Great to see you up there, second step on the podium. So are you looking forward to the next round, thinking follow this up with another podium next time?
Well, keep working towards it for sure, but really appreciate the broadcast, what you guys do for us, and certainly the league and Ricmotech.
Well, congratulations on the second step on the podium tonight. Jennifer McDonald, second place in the GTE field. Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, see you.
All right, and that was Jennifer McDonald, finishes second tonight in GTE. Now let's move over to our LMP2 winner, Arthur Chan.
All right, with his third win in 5 rounds and a crazy one tonight. Congratulations, Arthur Chan, on tonight's win. And tell me a little bit about what went on tonight. What was it going on out there?
Well, I'm sure you guys are probably wondering what was going on. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. We got a little bit from the stewards. They did explain a little bit that because of technical difficulties there with Andrew, that they were going to get him back there on that lead lap. But that all happened after the whole incident at the start with the jump and then the first penalty and then the change. And are you listening to that stewards call in that conversation, wondering how your fate's going to be decided?
Well, it did seem, it was one of those cases where, they're investigating something and it's taking a very long time. So, it's marginal which way it's going to go. I still don't know what happened. Effectively, I think Andrew was under the impression that when the iRacing green goes, you can go even if the pole sitter hasn't gone yet. And the fact that it took them so long to investigate it means, I don't know, maybe there's a bit of a loophole in the rules where it's not very crystal clear what happens in that situation. Yeah, I was wondering if I did something wrong for the longest time. I tried to maintain constant speed. I don't know if I accidentally bumped forward a bit. But yeah, it's I think I had him covered both ways though, because I worked pretty hard through practice to do a fuel conservation strategy, and even with the 85% fuel tank, I was actually in a position after about 6 laps to no stop this race, so I could have actually finished without stopping for fuel.
Wow, that's impressive, because we kept talking about we'd only thought there'd be 25, maybe 30 minutes of fuel in there, and you're able to stretch it up to 40 even without the yellow. So very, very impressive. You had strong pace, put on the pole, and started the season. I remember we talked to you after the win at Daytona, and you were surprised to come away with the victory. And here you are, 3 wins in 5 rounds, kind of getting a bit of a hold on the top spot. I mean, are you getting comfortable, it appears, with the car?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, thanks to my competitors pushing me. I mean, it's not like I'm running away with it. And really, there've been a lot of races where I don't have the pace. I mean, this is the first time I've gotten pole position, so that really shows that I'm not necessarily there on pure pace, but trying to keep my nose clean through the races and just consistently finish up there, or most importantly at this point, it's just keeping ahead of Andrew in the races. That's what I'm shooting for right now.
Well, you're able to do that even after the whole yellow situation where they got him back on the lead lap. He was right there with you for the last couple laps, unable to make that move. And, your pace was certainly there, and a dominant win here tonight. So congratulations on that. Anybody you want to thank?
I'd like to thank, first of all, Axon Driving Solutions, the team of guys I drive with here in Vancouver, Canada. They're always supportive and doing a great job with the team. And also want to do another shout out to my missing friend, Michael Denham, who's I've got his name on my door. So every time I have successes like these, I think of him a bit.
Awesome. All right. Well, congratulations again, Arthur. And we will see you in a couple weeks for Le Mans.
Great. Thanks very much, Larry.
All right. And that was Arthur Chan, our overall winner tonight. 3 rounds out of 5. He's taken home the top step of the podium. And as he mentioned and Larry mentioned, we'll see him in just about 3 weeks at Le Mans. But so now let's take a look at our upcoming schedule for the 3 different Ricmotech series. Next up, next week, April 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, is round number 6 of the Classic Sprint Series. Those are our Mazda MX-5 drivers. They are going to be at the Canadian House of Speed, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, otherwise known as Mosport. Should be a great battle there. And then in 2 weeks, our Sports Car Series, the GT4 drivers and TCR drivers, they are going to be making their way around 2.5 miles of Mid-Ohio. And then finally, as Larry mentioned, 3 weeks from tonight, May 10th, Monday night, 8 p.m., the Ricmotech World Challenge heads to the Circuit de la Sarthe to Le Mans for a 90-minute endurance race. It should be a great, great battle on that long, historic, very quick course. All right, so want to thank everybody for joining us. Of course, if you liked what you saw here tonight, please like us on YouTube, comment, subscribe to the Apex Racing TV channel. And of course, to get more information about the Ricmotech World Challenge, visit extrememotorsports99.com, where you can find all the official results, also series information. You don't want to miss it. And again, Larry, thank you very much for everything this evening. Thank you to Dennis Branch with Apex Racing TV, and we'll see you next week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.